platform for you guys when you join. You'll be able to actually rise and have opportunity, even some that us personally we did not have. So Women in Tech works in through 6 pillars. And the 6 pillars, we start at a tender age. For us, we believe that we cannot mold you when you're already up here. So we try and say, let's create more interest within our children, the younger ones, so that they grow up already with this inspiration, already with this interest, and then now we can just sustain it through the pipeline. So we start with children from the age of 6 to 13 years. And for this, we have a program called Kids and Tech. This program runs basically over the school holidays. And to run this program, they do simple experiments, either robotics, hydraulics, and things like that. And they get to carry these experiments home. The beauty about it is that we work in conjunction with campus students. So our mentors are actually campus students who give back their time to be able to help us mentor the young ones and create this interest. So far, we've done 30 successful sessions. COVID hit us hard because now no one can actually comfortably allow the kids output of the health safety. And then we've actually reached over 2,000 kids within Nairobi who are looking to franchise out. We have started Mombasa when COVID hit, so we had to take a break. We have done over 50 various experiments. And the good thing is that from the money the kids use to register for the experiments, we are supporting children from children's homes because we believe in equity and an opportunity for all. So far, 25% of all sessions we do are dedicated to children from children's homes. Once we're done with you at the kids level, we move to the high school program. So the high school program, as you can see, the name says 47-47. So basically, we try to reach 47 schools from the 47 counties in every year, hoping that we will soon be able to reach as many schools as possible. For this model, we basically try and do a model that is see and believe. So the girl at high school, we want to just show her that this is possible. So you have the interest, but is it a reality? So we have them host these schools within our data centers all over the country. So we do it per region. We normally have Mount Kenya, we have Coast, we have Nyanza, and then we have one on the Eldoret side. So at Nairobi also, sorry. And so we do this when we invite them, they come over. We work hard, we try to get funds to sponsor them to be able to come on board because we know it's a difficult thing. So we enable them through giving them like transport, at least accommodation from a fast school and things of the sort. So we spend a day with these girls. At this age, what we realize is in high school, you're going through so much. At home, you're troubled, family matters and all, and then also career-wise, you're struggling with choosing subjects. A lot of things, you're also growing as a person, so a lot of confusion within your system. So when you spend the day with the girls, one, we do counseling for them. So we take about an hour and a half of just pure counseling, and then after that, then we embark on the technical stuff. They get to visit our switching centers, like see it in action. They get to be able to experience our masks, and we even allow them to be able to access the same. So these are photos of what we do during such sessions. So far, we've reached 45 counties. Unfortunately, we've been unable to reach Mandera and Tana River due to safety reasons, but we are working on that closely. And if you can see from some of the reports that there's actually growth. There's actually some results from the efforts we have put in, and the number of people taking STEM is actually growing in terms of ladies. So from this mentorship, specifically in the high school, we've had success stories. You can see from Marsabit County, we've had girls who are now able to join campus and do STEM. Then we also have girls who have joined partner companies or partner organizations that work with Safaricom, and also join academies to do coding and all. With this same program, we've reached over 25,000 girls so far. Then we go to the Technovation. Technovation is basically in partnership with the Technovation Global, who is an international organization. And for this specific one, we teach girls how to code, how to be able to draft a business plan, to be able to pitch it, and so they're basically entrepreneurial skills. And for this one, again, we use campus students to be able to help us mentor the girls, train the girls, and at least be able to motivate them in something they do as they give up their time, as DG has said. We have changed tact a bit. We realized again in terms of equity, girls from undeserved areas were not having equal opportunity when we were doing this Technovation experience. So we have purposefully done in the last 2 years, intentionally to reach one, girls in underserved areas like the likes of Moyale, Marsabit, Samburu, and also girls in slums and girls in children's homes. And so far, this year when we had the global finals, we had 2 teams from Samburu who were actually among the finalists. So this also gives an opportunity, the fact that we've had teams representing us at the finals. The first year we started, we actually had a team that went to Silicon Valley, and we sponsored them all the way to the finals in Silicon Valley for them to be able to present their solution. Unfortunately, when COVID hit, we've had to now do it virtually, but we're hoping that we can resume the physical aspect of it. Then we have campus, where I believe all of us play. So for campus, we actually do one industrial visit. So that is when we welcome you to our premises to be able to come and see what we do, just like the high school students. And then we also have, basically we visit junior institutions. And so far we've been able to reach about 54 universities, either if it's online or if it's physical. And the beauty about this space is that we get to interact a bit more intimately with the university, so we don't actually most times group them. And for the industrial visits, again, this has taken a pause post-COVID, but we're working on how to best bring it back. We have seen opportunities where we even had now international universities reaching out to come on board and see what we do and just learn best practices from us. The main purpose of campus outreach is one, to just have the reality check for the girl who is in campus, but we realize because the girls are so few, then a class full of boys, they need an enabling environment to be able to sustain themselves. And they have to work closely with these boys to be able to succeed, to be able to remain in that class, succeed, and even then join the job market. So for campus outreach, we don't focus on girls only. We combine, it's both boys and girls. And we have sessions that basically tell you how is the job market looking like, what can you do to prepare yourself for the job market, how do you interview for a job, and once you interview for a job and then you're in, what are those skills that you will need to then thrive in that job market. So this is something that has also been quite productive for us, and we've seen situations where this then leads to our academy program, which I'll talk about next. So what I want to clearly highlight from this is we are really having many virtual sessions currently, and they are very good sessions. They are sessions about digital skills that you will not get at most of your schools, and it's an opportunity for you to equip yourself. These online webinars are during the second and fourth Saturday of every month, and they are free. If you register on time, we even send you bundles to enable you to be able to attend the session. And let me tell you, the things like UI, UX, not things that you learn in school, most likely in the curricula, but an opportunity we're giving that information to you for free. So please join us, be ready to learn, and take the opportunity that is given to you. We also have a Discord channel that promotes interactive learning. So far, we only have 1,000 students. I believe we are way more than that. So please spread the word, please join and come in there and learn. And also an opportunity, we get to partner a lot with Google I/O and Facebook development communities. That's an opportunity also for you to connect with such employers for your own benefit. So the academy, as I say, is an opportunity for internship. Again, it's not a guarantee, it's an elective process, and during that process, you have to interview for it. And when you interview, it is rigorous. All we can say is that when you go through our program, we equip you with enough knowledge for you to be able to successfully attend our interviews and succeed for this. Our internship is just not only internship for technical knowledge, it's a value-added one. You get to be able to learn about creative design thinking and how you can apply it to your work. And lastly, how you can give back to the community, because we're very big on giving back as a Safaricom. So far, we've had over 350 candidates. We now also invite people living with disabilities, and we have a reserved quota for them. Over 200 people have so far been employed in Safaricom. And lastly, we have the networking forum. This is for the campus student and even for the working woman. We're trying to create a woman who we have taken you through the journey. Now you're working, but what do we need for you to move from just a normal employee to a woman who sits in the boardroom and is comfortable to be able to run an organization? So we need you to be holistic in terms of, are you financially sound? Are you intentional about your parenting if you're a parent? Are you intentional about how you lead? So we are able to give you this training through workshops, through conferences, and through cocktails, just to ensure that we can be able to exchange knowledge with such like-minded people. So as I finish, I can say I have a few seconds. This is just an overview of what the market looks like currently. And I think this really affects you greatly. And this will set context for the panel that will come on stage from Safaricom and other partners. If you can see in Africa right now, only 3.8% year-on-year is the growth we have for development. It's small, but it's quickly growing. It's something you can tap into. And also, if you can see, currently in Africa, we only have 716,000 developers. Everything is going into development. This is a very small number. We shouldn't even be anywhere near here. So, in the audience here, what are you doing about it? Are you trying to also be part of this number? In terms of startups, we're raising so much money from venture capitalists for our startups. The growth is remarkable. Year on year is over 250%. Then you can see a lot of surge in terms of the impact of fintech and developers in startups. So those are prime areas you can start preparing yourselves for. The demographics, 80% of developers in Kenya are under 35 years. So you're at your prime right now to take advantage of such opportunities. Remote working, this has grown from 13% pre-COVID, now we're at 74%. You can do so much with your time because post-COVID has enabled you to be able to do that. Some demographics, I'll only highlight one thing in this slide. The sadness we have when enrollment of ladies in ICT or in engineering is quite low. And you can see replicating what is in Safaricom at 24%, the same thing when they register for engineering, only about 25%. So we still have a lot of work to do. And I'm happy that organizations are here and ladies are here who can then now start seeing how best can we move these numbers. And this is the last slide. So this one basically just gives you an overview of what we can do as we drive towards an engineering future. If you notice that the digital future, you need at least one digital skill. Campuses, especially the public ones, don't give you that. These things are available online. There's so many avenues where you can get this skill. You can also get it through the webinars that we do every second and fourth Saturday. And you can also get it if you want to pay for it in terms of new skills. The government is also promoting the Big Four agenda, which is an enabler for digital transformation through their digital master plan, and they're very big on skills and talent. So it's important that we all come together to be able to rally this. So some of the firms that are setting up in Kenya right now, so it's a hotbed. Kenya is becoming a hotbed for tech. So we have an opportunity to actually thrive in the career right now. The demographics. Our median age is about 19 years, and this accounts for 90% of the digital narrative. So meaning, I think we are somewhere near that age and we can still have opportunity. Then we have a lot of startups coming up. Don't be focused on, I need to work for Safaricom, I need to work for Safaricom. Let me tell you, the startups that are coming up have myriads of opportunities, very exposing and very, very building. So I think you need to change also your mindset of how you approach the job industry currently. Then we have 38% of the developers in Africa currently not only work for their jobs here, they even work for the organizations out of Africa. So again, more opportunity, remote working, hybrid working. So that again gives us more opportunity. Access to cloud and open source tools. So basically, right now with connectivity, as we try to push for more of that, we're trying to see an inclination where everything we're building is both based on open source and cloud, especially as we look at cost leadership, because the economy right now, we know how bad it is. And lastly, just Africa's digital revolution. Everything, e-commerce, fintech, big things, hot things in Kenya right now, are we a part of it? We want to be a part of it. So for me, I think when I close off, and that is a thank you slide, I basically just want to leave with 4 things. 1, be open mindset in terms of technology evolves rapidly. Are you willing to evolve with it? Are you an electrical engineer and open to changing what you are learning right now because of the trends, or do you want to stick with it and have the big name? 2, hungry. How hungry are you for information? Are you willing to learn, relearn and learn? Are you willing? Then 3, are you willing to be able to be holistic? We only don't employ you for your knowledge in school. We employ you because you're a person who can show leadership and a person who can show you have skills beyond what you do in class. You're a social person. You're able to articulate yourself. And those are things that you're not taught in class, but extra things you do within church, within your house, within your family can help build you. And lastly, paying it forward. Are you enabling someone else from your village, from your class? Are you helping someone who is struggling? Are you able to, you don't have to have money. Your mind can also help someone else. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Donna. Thank you, Safaricom team. I believe whatever you're doing is very, very great. I just want to confirm, how many female students and IEEE members are in the house today? Wonderful. So I can say it's like half. So some opportunities you've already had from Safaricom team have already been displayed. and they continue. I think this is something that is ongoing. You said you've done it for over 10 years. Very nice, very nice. Okay, so I want to take this time to at least usher Maureen and Belinda to give us like some freebies so that we can take a break, at least get to connect, but just remain seated just for a few minutes. I mean, not Maureen and Belinda, the other guys to remain seated, but Maureen and Belinda, please come so that you can just take a few minutes to share with the team what good things may come their way, either today or during our gala dinner. At the same time, just to remind the members here, we have some Kenya Section Awards ongoing. Please keep on nominating. We're closing at 11 a.m. The link was shared in our WhatsApp group and via email, but in case you don't have, I can mention it. Just go to bit.ly, bit.ly bit.ly so bit.ly/IEEE KE Awards. It's also going to be displayed. Yeah, there. Thank you.
Hello. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Situchangamke jameni.
Good morning.
Well, my name is Maureen Chepkemoi. I am a student at Technical University of Kenya, currently in my final year. I'm also part of the organizing committee for this congress, and I was taking the role of the publicity committee chairperson. So social media and all that. And so personally, I'm loving the experience from yesterday to today. And we also need to have experiences from all of you, our participants, our guests, and everyone. And so we have an online campaign ongoing. Is it really a campaign? Yes. And we have various social media handles. And we wish that as you continue learning from our various speakers, learning from the panel discussions, the panel sessions, and from your interactions, we would like you to keep sharing your experiences on our various social media platforms using the hashtags. The first hashtag is IEEE KSYP and KSYP Congress 2022 and hashtag Tukosite Panari. And as you do that, as you use the hashtags, we have our LinkedIn pages, our LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram pages. And on LinkedIn, you can find us at IEEE Kenya Students and Young Professionals Congress. On Twitter, you can find us at IEEE KSYP. On Facebook, you can find us at IEEE_KSYP 2022. I hope I'm audible enough. On Facebook, you can find us at IEEE_KSYP_2022. On Instagram, you can find us at IEEE_KSYP_2022. We'll also project those pages shortly. And as you do that, also remember to tag our main sponsors, which is Kenya Education Network, that's KENET. We have IEEE Engineering in Medicine, Biology Society, that's IEEE EMES, and IEEE Power and Energy Society, that's at IEEE PES. And as you do that, remember to include the hashtags at IEEE KSYPKE, at IEEE, hashtag KSYP Congress 2022, and hashtag Tukosite Panari. Let's keep it lively, let's keep it trending. And as you do that, we also have some goodies for you. And that's why I'd like to introduce Belinda, who is the head of marketing at Panari Hotel. Welcome, Belinda. Share with us.
Thank you. First of all, it has been a pleasure hosting you. We enjoyed having you here. We look forward to having more and more conferences with you guys. Just to say thank you for choosing us. We have 6 ice skating tickets that we'd like to give, 4 movie vouchers, because you know we are the first and only ice rink in Kenya, the first in East and Central Africa. So come and enjoy with us. You have 6 ice skating tickets, 4 movie vouchers. The only thing you have to do is like and follow our pages. Use the hashtag she has stated to cite Panari. Like our Facebook, like our Instagram. Facebook, it's Panari Hotel. Instagram, it's the Panari Hotel Nairobi. Yeah, I think that's all. Just like, follow, share your experiences, share your photos. I'm sure you took even photos yesterday. Just tag us and we'll be happy to give you the vouchers. We'll do the raffle in the afternoon when given the platform. Have a lovely day. Enjoy your time at Panari. Thank you.
Thank you. I know, Belinda, you mentioned that people need to share their experiences there, but I want to give someone one opportunity here. Who wants to share his or her experience right now? Just tell us how you're feeling so far. I choose? Dr. Harry. Oh, there. Yes. Tell us, how are you feeling right now? I'm trying to remember your name. Are you Lennox?
Otherwise, let me use this podium so that for futuristic preferences that I was in Panari. Yeah, in the 1 minute I've been given, I would like to say that it is one of the most compelling, spellbinding, orthogonal, nonchalant, opulent, serene, and boisterous experiences ever happened in my life. Pursuant to that, permit me to say that everything as far as Magnesia is concerned, and shedding off of the nocturnal torpor, sending to the quivers of light the hearts of comrades, young professionals, it is just a story another day of what some of the millions of incoherent people might say, Togo non Pexi. Amonyango Lennox there, 50 years civil engineering, the Take University of Kenya, we are next to Central back there. Thank you.
Was that okay?
It's walking away.
I'm kidding. Anyway, happy. Really, thank you, Lennox.
You can get one of the tickets.
Okay, needs to get a ticket.
Yeah.
Okay, that was really, really nice. At least I've mastered his name. Thank you, Lennox, again. Yesterday you were vibed. Today you're still doing it. Some energy. Thank you. Allow me to introduce now the next topic. We're now having a panel session. Yesterday we were talking about digital transformation. What is the world? IEEE, it's all about transforming, technology for humanity. And you have to do this digitally. How are you going to, ease and simplify, improve efficiencies? And this is what we want to talk about, digital transformation, creating a future workforce. And we have a team that, again, I think they have a lot of wealth, a lot of knowledge in this field. And I just want this to be really interactive, really empowering, so that at least when we come out of here, we have our minds broadened. So I'm going to welcome them. I'm going to mention them one by one, so that they can just come in. We have Nesenya Mungai, Digital Delivery Lead at Safaricom. I'm so glad these are women. Imagine, after having a talk about women, Safaricom Week, and now women coming in, very nice. We have Sarah Omboy, I remember her yesterday, Deputy CEO, E-Mentoring Africa. Another woman. Janet Wafubwa, Data and Product Strategist at Safaricom. And Dr. Njeri, thank you. lecturer, Technical University of Kenya. Our very own. In fact, I don't know, I think I missed to mention, Dr. Njeri is the one championing women in engineering in IEEE. Surely, I'm sure she'll have some very excellent conversation with Donna about how IEEE women engineering can be able to partner with Safaricom's WIT. And then we have Joyce Kangogo, Senior Manager, Billing and Finance at Safaricom. Yay! Very passionate women. Strong in wealth, strong in spirit as well. Okay, yeah, so our moderator in this class will be Ms. Senyo. Okay.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, ladies. It's good to be in an all-female panel. Super exciting. So, by 2030, the estimated tech shortage in the entire world will be 85 million, and this actually translates to $8.5 trillion. See Kenya shillings, $1 trillion. So, back at home, how this actually works is, in 2021, we had only 15K technology graduates in Kenya. So what our panel is supposed to do is actually, how do we address digital transformation by actually creating a digital workforce? So I will start with you, Dr. Njeri. Yesterday we had a conversation with Her Excellency, the Ambassador of US to Kenya, and she was telling us how in the United States, the 4 big elements that actually contributed to economic disruption. And she said the first one is university, the second one is venture capital, the third one was big successful tech companies, I guess in this instance is Safaricom, and the fourth one is infrastructure. So for us to actually deliver on the Big 4 agenda, what we need to do is accelerate digital skills. What are the true disruptions that you think we need to have in our curriculum and the programs in our universities for us to make this happen? Simple question.
Thank you very much for this. I'm glad that at least university was mentioned number one.
Yes.
So the question that I actually asked yesterday, is university really necessary for us guys? And you can actually see some of the answers that are actually coming out from here is that yes. Yeah, other than just maybe the grades, what else are you actually learning from the universities? For us to actually be told that we are part of this disruptive technology bit of it, we're really glad to actually hear that. So what needs to be done? First of all, we don't want this to just be done by male only. We'd like to actually even have like ladies also being that big number that is actually being mentioned when it comes to disruptive technology. So and also I think for our case, considering the infrastructure that we have in Kenya, as much as we're thinking of disruptive technology, let us not forget that we need to actually bring in technology also that works for our own people. A very good example is that at times you actually hear someone say that they want to, I think I actually mentioned yesterday, they want to reduce infant mortality rate using chatbots. And the very first question I actually ask them, where is this infant mortality rate? Is it in Nairobi? No. Yeah. Somewhere like Mandera, Samburu, what are they using? Okay, so once you actually get to know what they're actually using, you actually put it in context. And trust me, at times you actually think that disruptive technology could be something like it's out of the blue, but it's something that also, as much as you know that you can actually be able to impact the society or that particular culture, society for this particular case, in a way that is going to be sustainable, it's good enough. Two disruptions. Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely. When it comes to the disruption bit of it, if I can actually bring in the point of the digital skills also, if I can actually bring in that,
Phoebe, you've actually accused universities for not teaching digital skills. Kindly.
We know that innovation talent is not evenly distributed across all humanity. And according to the Digital Master Plan, we had 281 innovations incubated, and we have 1,800 actually trained innovators and entrepreneurs. So, from your docket, how can we position innovation frameworks, innovation programs, initiatives to actually catalyze the tech, the world tech talent in Kenya so that we create what we need.
Sorry, I'm a bit of a river, so I hope my cough won't disrupt anything that I have to say. So, to me or to everyone, innovation is part of every other person, whether they're employed, whether they're students, and even a child. Just anyone has that opportunity or capability of innovating. So, when it comes to innovation, it starts with one thing: an idea. And an idea is as good as it's out there than sitting somewhere in a pocket, right? And I feel like what we have been incorporating is getting it right in terms of the processes, in terms of organizing ourselves, and in terms of how we're going to measure that. So the key thing, I think that every other, like it's an institution, whether it's an organization, that needs to have in track for them to continue to innovate, is to have that structure in place. And the first thing that needs to be there is we have ownership. As much as we want to innovate, we should have someone that actually sort of like drives the programs that lead to innovation. So there are a couple of them, a lot of programs in terms of engagement, creating that culture of innovation within staff, within students, within just any organization, whether it becomes, whether it's a tech, whether it's a startup, whether it's, education, healthcare, whatever the opportunity that there is. So there needs to be like someone or some structure that supports it. Then I feel, and the second thing is the processes that need to be adopted. When you create a framework on how you're going to operate in terms of one, what are the key things that we are actually chasing in terms of objective, what's the aim on why we're doing innovation, one. Two, also, in terms of who are we doing the innovation for, one, you need to create that innovation factory because the innovation factory now supports the input to the output. Meaning that the input can be, yes, any idea. But then the innovation factory has to come from one. It can be open innovation, which means that anyone can come up with any idea. You can use students. You can have like a hackathon challenge to have students come up with, a problem statement. You create a problem statement, then they come up with solutions based on that. There's a time under Women in Technology did SDG-based challenges for university students, and we had several brilliant solutions that addresses all the global goals. So that's another option where you can partner with tech hubs, innovation hubs, and all that just to create this innovation factory. But then you have to be clear on the outputs. The different outputs sort of that organizations are looking for or institutions are looking for. So for my space or our key space, first of all, is that culture, just creating that culture of continuous innovation. That's number one for us, where every staff, whatever idea you have, no matter how you might think it sounds stupid to you, but it's brilliant to another person. So we just want to crowdsource every other idea and see how best it suits and let's say our mission. Then the next thing, sorry, where was that? Oh yeah, building culture, yes. The next thing for us, which is what we really focus on in terms of measure, is once we have those ideas, then when you look into them, how many of them can be viable, how many of them can be actually a product that can go to market. That's the reason why you see Safaricom continuously innovate, sends out products out there, because we've created that culture and really experiment with it. And then we don't forget, apart from the culture, the best part is collaboration, where we get teams from different areas. Well, I might be a developer, you might be from finance, she might be from HR, she might be from customer care, but when they come together, it doesn't matter what space they are, but we have had this idea, and there's a can I say there's a way where someone from HR can learn from a developer or can learn from a business person. So it creates that culture of learning together as you collaborate together. And that's key for us, because that's one of the things that we really create, because a teamwork brings, the effort of a teamwork brings everything, the success stories as well. I think then the last thing for us is how we are sort of like progressing in terms of brand reputation, creating Safaricom to be that brand of innovators. One of the biggest innovation that came from Africa is M-Pesa, right? Which is associated with Safaricom. We've had cases where people, students coming from United States of America, Finland, Germany, just to come to Safaricom and just to visit to learn more of how we created M-Pesa, how we tried to address the gap that there was in the financial institution, and what other innovations that we have. So then for us to be sitting at the top as disruptors, as a tech company as well, then we have to subject ourselves to innovation, so that as much as you see Safaricom as compared to any other company, you already know it's an innovative company. Then not forgetting the last thing, which is very key to us as well, we are trying to use innovation in terms of acquiring a strong benchmark in terms of talent and building talent as well. Because we've actually been able to hire interns through hackathons, where someone who's very new, trying to learn how your organization works, trying to sit within your space, has already seen a gap that you guys have not seen. Then they come up with these ideas, and then when they do the problem statement, when they do the pitching, we just realize, like, you know what, we need this set of people to work with us to continue innovating that, to continue building products that actually address the customer from our side. So that's one of the most important things. Also, not forgetting that, keeping our consumers, our customers. We try to listen. We try to give you like a product or service that probably you did not know you need, but it's an improvement to your life, either your lifestyle or how you interact with us. So for me, and for our organization, those are key things, and how we use innovation at least to transform digitally into that space. Continuously creating that movement of us transforming not only from being a telco company, because most of us associated Safaricom with as a telecommunication company, but Safaricom is more than a telecommunication company, because we have different sources and services. So then we, Safaricom, sit atop in the same level as Google, AWS, as Facebook, because we are a tech company. So yeah, I think that those are the key things. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Janet. I will be quoting the digital master plan a lot today. So the government is in the process of actually building the capacity in digital skills, and the target is to have 10,000 ICT professionals and 20,000 citizens. So recently, Safaricom leveraged on its key partners, around 10 of them, academia, government, training partners, to actually, can I say, bridge the gap between what we have in the universities and what the industry needs. So basically, that was to upskill around 1,000 students between 2022 and 2023 with the 9 skill sets that we are currently lacking, from fintech, UI UX designers, cybersecurity, machine learning, AI. And the thing is, once we have the 1,000 upskilled students, so what is next? The biggest thing will be to differentiate between a competent resource and someone who can actually innovate and sell the ideas and the soft skills. What Janet can tell you is, during our innovation and hackathons, engineers and developers do not know how to storytell. Empathy is at 0. I am an engineer, so I know. So, Hannah, how do we, like, from your point of view, how do we actually bridge the gap on the skill sets so that we empower our engineers with the skills they need, be it from mentorship perspective, how do we partner with organizations, governments, or even an organization like yours to actually make this possible?
Thank you so much. I was really crossing my fingers you asked me a question about mentorship because that's my field. That's a very good question. And let me start by saying yesterday when I saw the young people presenting here, I just wished I had 1 hour with them just to coach them on how to talk and present themselves and intimidate, quote unquote, the judges so that they can pass their message across. Yesterday when I was here, I said engineers need a human face. They need to learn how to interact with people. They need to learn the soft skills, not just techie. Forgive me if I don't understand engineering terms very well, but engineers, or rather those people in the tech space, tend to lack the soft skills. They tend to lack PR skills. Sometimes they're not able to present themselves. They're not able to, put their point across. Like you pitch here and you're not making sense because there is nothing, you're not able to present yourself, you're not able to bring out what you want to communicate. So we at WEMA, one of the things that we do is handhold every profession in terms of teaching you the soft skills, in terms of teaching you how to communicate, even dressing. I'm a banker by profession, so I can handhold somebody in the banking industry. The language in the banking industry is different from an engineer's language, different from legal, and different from all other spaces. So what we do is we take these students, actually you guys, from between campus and the workspace, and we have a 3 to 4 weeks boot camp. Let me call it a boot camp. We call it Work Experience and Mentorship Academy, where we teach you how to get into the workspace. We teach you how to interact socially in the workspace. Socially, not Leo nani ananunua mzinga. No, not that kind of socially, but how to understand the different temperaments in an organization. When you get employed, you're not friends. You find yourself there by default because you interviewed and you got the space. So you're not really friends. Your colleagues, your people who are from different backgrounds, different nationalities, different professions, and we have to teach how to understand the different temperaments within the workspace. So that is what we do. We handhold you, we teach you these soft skills, we teach you how to even walk. You'll be surprised. I'll give you a very short story. My mentor was my boss, and we used to call her Devil Wears Prada, because she really was Devil Wears Prada. And she was very tough in my mentorship. She taught me how to wear heels. These kind of very small things that you actually take for granted. Things that when you present yourself, somebody will actually take time to listen to you, as opposed to when you just sluggishly walk with your shoulders down and stuff like that. And for me, it was mentorship from that aspect to even communicating and not saying like should make me repeat a statement 10 times. As long as I'm putting an arm, she's like, sorry, I didn't hear that, please start again. This actually helps me to build confidence, be able to understand what I'm expected to do, be able to dress according to the occasion, according to your profession, and present yourself in such a way that when you are giving a talk or when you're in a boardroom, people actually take time to listen to you. It may sound, let me call it KISS, keep it simple and stupid. It might sound very stupid just to, why do I have to wear a suit? Why do I have to wear heels? But people look at you, like, look at all these ladies seated here. You guys are very quiet listening. When she's in red, lipstick red, and what is coming out of her mouth, you want to listen to her. It's mentorship is as simple as how you present yourself, to acquiring the soft skills, to being able to write not an academic paper, but a financial report paper that can be reviewed by a board of directors. This is the kind of hand-holding that we do, and we believe in the next generation, or in future, mentorship is key, and especially with our Gen Zs. If you want to keep the banking industry, the engineering industry, the legal industry straightforward and focused, we need to mentor these kids who think they can do anything on a phone and make money. Okay, the most important thing is make money, but how are you making that money? You know, when you're going to present your TikTok videos, and there's somebody who wants to invest in your TikTok video, do you just go like it's another TikTok video that you're doing? You know, these are some of the things that we are looking at in the aspect of what's next.
Sarah, can you please mentor me? Because clearly, I have a lot of that I keep. I'm actually done with academia and in leadership, so I think all of us need mentorship. Thank you so much for that. Joyce, in the ever-changing tech space, from what Donna had said, during the enrollment recently, especially in ICT and engineering, we had male versus female. We had 25,000 versus 6,000. So, how do we ensure we have diversity, equity, and inclusion while addressing the challenges of specialization and scarcity in the ever-changing tech market?
Thank you, Nasenya. I'll take you guys back a bit. I remember when I was growing up, there was a very interesting conversation whereby in the education system, KCPE, KCSE, performance, you'd see the boys perform better than the girls in the science subjects, mathematics, physics and all. And the people who actually came before us, they are very intentional about it. They came up with real strategies, because when you look at that space at the moment, then it clearly tells you that there's been significant progress, because at the moment, I think I'm very confident to say that it's close to 50-50, right? So then the question that you've asked, Nasenya, is very important, because the question is, so if this 50-50, they are performing very well at KCP, KCSE, even at the university level, you find that the first class are coming from the ladies also, as well as the men. So the question is, once we transition into the workforce, where are the ladies? Why do we have that gap growing? And there are so many things that we can do, but today I'm going to highlight just a few things that I believe if we're able to do, then it will help bridge that gap. Number one, I would say we need to build an enabling environment. And when I talk about these things, for sure, these are things that I have witnessed out of the journey. And there's one very famous saying that you had from different leaders from different countries. You had Barack Obama talk about, if you have a population and 50% of your population is not playing the game, it's almost equivalent as to saying you have a football, a soccer match, and half of your team is not playing. So, and there's so many benefits of having a very diverse team. If you're an organization, you will see the results in terms of your performance. If you have a team that is equally constituted, if you have women and men, the two genders are so different, but they bring on board very important the way they're built naturally. And you know, I believe it's a way that God made us to balance our world. So we should leverage on that to make sure that we actually benefit from that, because we benefit from an organization perspective, And also, the benefits to our country are really immense if we're able to achieve this. So if you're very intentional about creating that enabling environment, and I'll give 2-3 examples that have really worked at Safaricom. One of the things that has been done is the WIT. The organization has been very intentional building the WIT. I remember when I joined the tech space, I was among the few ladies in engineering. It was a very lonely time. And at that time, the conversation was, how do we bring on board more ladies into this field, right? So WIT was born, and through that program, we've seen a lot of ladies transition from college into engineering. And at the moment, we are not yet at 50-50, but we are actually heading there. In some teams, actually, we've achieved, like in my team, there's one team that is already 50-50, and it's in a very short period of time. So I would say the other thing that we need to look at is the unconscious bias. What are we doing about it? Because those are the things that make women drop out of the workplace if they feel that maybe they are not valued. Also on the other side, I would say it's not just about the women also, because there are some careers within the tech space where the men would feel like maybe they don't fit in, and you find that it's also equally unbalanced. So it's across board, it is both, like whenever you find yourself in a space, do you have both genders on board? So those unconscious bias, we need to have a strategy around it, maybe through training, having those open conversations with different people in the organization, from leadership to engineers. Then the other thing I want to give, when you talk about women, there'll be an age, they transition into the workforce, and also as part of their life, they will transition into a childbearing stage where you need to enable that transition. And at Safaricom, Safaricom has done a fantastic job at it, and it has really enabled retaining that talent, because once they enter, then the question is, how do you keep them in that market? How do you keep them in the industry so that they continue contributing? And as they continue building their skills, then you're able to continue leveraging on them. So for Safaricom, the mothers, they're given like 6 months where you have your baby, but after 6 months of maternity leave, then you have like half day for the next 6 months, which is really enabling them, and it really helps them. And it's a big motivator, because you can imagine what that does to the person. It means by the time that person is leaving your organization, they have to get something that matches that. So there are so many things that can be done. That is one example. And the last thing that I will highlight is we need to look at the policies, the company policies, and comb through those policies to ensure that there is nothing that actually continues to propagate that issue. If anything, we need to bridge the gap so that we can close and ensure that the women and the men, okay, let me talk about the women first. The women can stay in the workforce, and also the men on the other side, in those spaces where they feel that traditionally there's been the bias of this is not a male-dominated space, then the men are also able to thrive. So I would say that, I trust that I have answered the question. And for sure, I'm glad to talk about this in the morning, because when I look at all your faces, I look at the generation that will change this country. Reason being, sometimes we look for, the president to change what is happening in our country. But that change actually begins from the different areas that we have, from our workplace, from our homes, So I'm glad that this morning I'm speaking to those people that I believe will be the change makers in our country. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Joyce. If we could give one piece of advice to the people, to the students and the young professionals in this room, what is the one thing you'd love them to go home with, each and every one of us? We can start with Dr. Jerry.
The one thing that I'll actually tell, apparently, first of all, the ladies here. So the one thing I'll actually like to speak to the ladies right now, it is possible. In the field of STEM, it is possible. And the reason why I'm saying STEM, it's because we want to also bring in the arts. From what Donna said, we want the collaborations being of it coming in so that we can be able to view stuff in a different perspective and also be able to be innovative enough, not only in silos, but also be able to bring in people from different other fields to make sure that we're having innovations that are sustainable. So where are we right now? As women, you can see for Safaricom, they say they are at 24%. Where are we? Universities, a School of Computing at Technical University of Kenya. How many women are there? For these men in this room, are you going to encourage your sisters, your cousins, to be able to tell like join, people should like join the STEM, the STEM domain? So, is it possible? Yes, it is very, very, very possible. And we're looking forward to actually mentoring you and be able to make sure that you actually flourish in this particular space.
Thank you, Dr. Jerry. Joyce?
Yeah. Thank you once again, Nesenia. I must say that two things. Number one, we need to bring on board grit. This journey is not easy, but if you bring that on board, you will survive. Number two, I would say, indeed, when you join the industry, please stay in the industry in a manner that shows that you still stay, because sometimes you have people that, yes, they join the industry, but in that in the different engagement, they behave like they have left the industry. So I would encourage you to do that, and especially for the ladies, I want to encourage you to also stay and find your seat at the table. Please don't join the industry and take the back seat. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Joyce. Janet?
So mine will be sort of like different for the two speakers. So my last key takeout for you guys is I feel like we should stay on course, but differently. I feel like as much as we set targets in terms of where we want to land, in terms of career-wise, let's say I'm a developer, do I foresee myself being a developer entirely? That's one for me. So for me, I feel like we should be able to be adaptable. And the given situation I'm trying to give is like, I'll take an example of myself, or both of the because we've grown together. When I joined Safaricom, straight from campus, I did engineering. I started at the network side. And then I grew, I started doing data, I learned programming, I started doing analytics. I tried doing data science strategies in terms of building insights based on data, or actually building strategies that are actually insect-led. Then I moved to products and became a product owner, where I'm rolling out products for mobile data users. Then right now, I sort of like changed direction again, where I'm leading innovation within Safaricom. So my thing is, don't get somewhere and start like I want to be this person. As I said, you can be a developer, but then when do you see yourself? Are you able to transition to become like on the business side, so that you are actually able to kind of like translate what's needed, or actually marry the business plan to what the technical side requires? Then are you able to become even more and grow to make decisions for probably the organization, your company, your startup, anything, meaning that you have to have that business mind. So for me, I feel like stay on course, yes, but be adaptable in terms of change, in terms of disruption, in terms of learning what's out there, in terms of researching, and just keeping up to date.
Thank you, Janet. Sarah?
Thank you. I'll be very short and sweet, and to cover what they have said. You have so much power within you, you have no idea. So much power within you, you have no idea.
Wow. Wow. Sasa lakini wamesema everything that I wanted to say. So for me, I think a key highlight would be when we are doing recruitment for Safaricom, we are currently looking for T-shaped employees or E-shaped. So we don't necessarily just want you to have one skill. We need you to have at least 3 complementary skill sets. And then another, like for example, what Janet said, I am a telecommunications engineer, an Android developer, a chatbot engineer, and now I'm doing things to do with HR. So the power within you is limitless. You can be anything you want to be in this world. And then the other key item is due to the disruption in tech space in Kenya, thanks to Google and Microsoft, engineers are no longer earning 120,000. Now, if you're joining Safaricom as a UI UX designer, it's from 400,000 and above. So we have the capacity, we have the space, and now whatever you want to earn is actually based on how skilled you are. So don't limit yourself. Don't limit yourself. Thank you. And to the ladies, asanteni sana. It has been such an amazing session.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, for the next session, we're interrupting normal programming as per your agenda to hear a word from our sponsors. Kidding. Sounds like a podcast, right? No. Actually, very seriously. In the next session, we are going to bring in a session that we missed yesterday on enhancing cyber resilience in academia, ecosystem, and student laptop purchase program. This is going to be taken over by our gold sponsors, that is Kenneth. And the person who's going to be taking us through that session, which is going to take a keynote format, if I'm not wrong, would be Maureen Musau. So Maureen is the current academic ICT solutions lead at Kenneth. She leads the development of education technology projects and capacity building initiatives by Kenneth. And she has over 13 years of extensive experience. I like the fact that you added extensive experience in tech, handling various ICT projects in cloud computing, that is, SaaS, PaaS, and IaaS, LAN, WLAN, etc. So Maureen has worked on hundreds of projects with customers, including 80 plus educational, research, and government institutions to meet their technical, business, and strategic goals. So she also has an undergrad degree in electronic and computer engineering from JKUAT, or Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology for our visitors, and an MBA from the University of South Wales. So with that being said, Maureen, please join us on stage for your session on enhancing cyber resilience in academia, ecosystem, and student laptop purchase program. Asanteni sana, let's give her a round of applause as she comes.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. As he's introduced me, I'm Maureen Musau from Kenneth, and I'll be talking about cybersecurity resilience in the academia world. So yesterday, most of you mentioned that you've heard of Kenneth, and I believe the primary service you've heard of what we do is internet connectivity, yeah? So we do offer very many different services. I'll just highlight a few that relate to you as students, yeah? So currently we are serving 200 educational institutions, 200 educational research, and also different categories of members. And we have connected over 470 campuses across Kenya. So you can imagine the size of the network that we are managing. So as Kenneth, we are working with Communications Authority, who manage the National Cybersecurity Incident Response Center for Kenya. So we are tasked to focus on the academia side. So we work with your educational institutions, mostly the ICT teams and the cybersecurity teams, to be able to help them mitigate and also respond to incidences as they occur. And we do that in different ways that also you as students need to be actively participating. So we do, number one, we do capacity building. We need to create awareness about cybersecurity incidences. We have online courses that even you as a student should be able to take these courses. We have a cybersecurity awareness course that is online and available for anyone and everyone, free of charge for you to take. So please, after this session, you can visit our stand out there, pick up a flyer, and you can be able to see how you can be able to register and take up a course. So that course is designed for anyone who uses the internet. Yesterday and today we've heard about all the possibilities that we can achieve with tech. And we need to be safe as we work with technology, either from just basic internet access to data science to IoT. All that you're doing online, you need to be safe. So I'd encourage you to take up a cybersecurity awareness course. We also have an advanced cybersecurity course that is more technical. If you want to take your curiosity further, this is something that you now can be able to undertake. And it's also an online hands-on course, and it will give you the industry skills that you require to be able to pursue a career in cybersecurity. And that is also free, and you'll get access to virtual lab where you can be able to test out what you're learning. We don't encourage you to test on live systems. We have a test bed that you can be able to engage with. The other thing that we do in terms of cybersecurity is, as we mentioned, we mostly work with the ICT departments of your institution, sorry. And we do a lot of education in terms of disaster recovery. You're all doing exams, for example, you all need your grades available. So you can imagine if the system that has your grades and you're just about to graduate, or you think you're about to graduate and you're not able to get your academic transcripts. So we do a lot of engagement with them in terms of cybersecurity to ensure that their systems are well secured. Availability is only granted to those who require access to such systems. So those skills we can also teach you as students. If you're in a club that deals in either computer science, is interested in cybersecurity, we can also come in as Kenneth to support you, probably from just hardware perspective, or providing you a platform to be able to run if it's a hackathon, and help you organize or sponsor an activity in relation to that. The last one I'd like to mention is a secure wireless service. It's Eduroam. I know some of you have it at your campus. At KU, you have Eduroam. So we are working with your institutions to deploy Eduroam. So Eduroam stands for Education Roaming. It's a wireless secure service that enables you as a student to move from one campus that has Eduroam to another campus that has the Eduroam service. So it's different from the way it's been implemented is different from your normal Wi-Fi, in the sense, like, as you can see in this room, you all have one password here, but with Eduroam you have your unique identity. And it enables you to roam from one campus across Kenya, or even to neighboring countries where we have the Eduroam service, including even to the US, to Europe, South Africa, Tanzania, Uganda, Ghana. They've all implemented this service. So you don't need to ask for a username and password. As you access Wi-Fi, you just use your unique username and password that you've been given on campus. So it's a service that we encourage all new students to adopt to it. And we are now moving also to offering it off campus. We know most of the time it's offered on campus. So we'd like to engage with you from your hostels so that you can be able to have wireless service. So in case you'd like to know more about what we're doing at Kenneth in terms of cybersecurity and the additional services, so please free to engage with me and also to engage with us at our booth out there. So I thank you for listening.
Santa Sana, another round of applause for Maureen. Thank you so much for giving us the overview and of course also calling to action the young people in the room to take advantage of these opportunities that are available to us. Now next up, going on swiftly, I know you guys want a break for coffee or tea, but before that we want to hear from Lucy Mushira. So Lucy is an interesting personality because she has a very long history actually, and she works, I think she's the only IEEE staff we have today. Very unique. IEEE, not volunteer staff. So that's it's a big shot mention. So Lucy is a technology professional with over 18 years experience across Africa and Europe. And she also began as a software developer. I hope she's going to tell us more about that. But she implemented systems across utility companies, financial services including online and mobile banking where she served as a product manager. And then she went on into data and information management. And then currently she's a technology and operations consultant, where she currently works with IEEE educational activities. And that's what she's going to talk about today. Lucy has a bachelor in business and information technology from Strathmore, and then wait for this. She also has a master's in tech policy from the, she mentioned this, very important, the University of Cambridge. So she wants to educate us on matters educational, maybe a bit of educational policy, but mostly what she does with IEEE educational activities. And so that's going to be our next session. Please, Lucy, could join us on stage. I know Lavender has questions for you.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you. He's very, I think he's put more energy into that introduction than I do into writing it myself. Hello, and thank you all for being here, first of all, because you could have registered and then not shown up. So I'm always very grateful when there's actually an audience. So my name is Lucy Mushira, yes, and I'm going to speak to you. You're all IEEE, well, most of you are IEEE members and you know about the IEEE, so I'm not going to tell you that much about the IEEE, although this may be interesting also for non-IEEE members. One of the things that we find a lot is, when you're a student, and I was a student, is you're in school and they have all these course programs and you know that you're going to go out there and you're going to work, and so you get your degree and then you find the job that you get and you might like it and you might stay there, or you might not like it and you might look for something else. Now in the event that you do get a job that you like and you get it in technology, what's going to happen, let's have the next slide please, is you're going to find, is it me who puts the next slide? Okay, I thought there was someone to help me. Okay, good. Is you're going to find out that technology is an industry that changes all the time. When I was in school, we used to have floppy drives and they were very precious and one was like 50 shillings. And then after that we all got USB drives and now everybody just Bluetooths everything across, So it keeps changing and you have to stay current. And so you ask yourself, why do I need to stay current in the first place? Why? Because it's changing and you want to stay relevant. If I had stayed with the education that I had in the degree that I got initially, I would not be able to be here with you. Because a lot of the things that I'm even going to tell you about did not exist. Many of you have maybe, is anyone here doing data, working in data? I think there was a lady on the panel earlier. Anyone else in their IT looking at data for their projects or anything like that? People who are studying a lot of, one gentleman. So embarrassing, you ask a question and no one replies. At least I have one person. Yeah, so when we did data, It wasn't a full degree like you find now. It was just a database, and then they'd send you to a lab and you did something with Microsoft Access or with Oracle. And now it's gone all the way until you have full degree programs. You have all this, artificial intelligence and machine learning. I was talking to someone the other day and they were giving me how they have this problem at work where they have to build a data lake, and I was like, what now? And you have to keep learning and understanding and adapting. And so how does the IEEE come in? What's going to happen with your IEEE membership once you leave university? So the IEEE can help you to continue to widen your skill set. So, technology will change, you'll need to work on new projects, people will ask you questions about things you don't know, so how do you keep current? And the IEEE can help you there. And what happens when you keep up to date and when you keep absorbing new knowledge is that you have great confidence when you're working in projects, when you're making decisions. You'll go and you'll be dealing with vendors, and of course we'll all be trying to sell you something, because I've done sales and we're always trying to tell you that you can do everything that it says. It's called selling airware. But you have to be able to know better than the vendor. So that's why, again, you have to keep very current on what is being sold out there. And then, of course, for your career development, because certain jobs do require that you actually have certain qualifications and certain experience. Now, most of you know about the 39 technical societies. So you can leave and you can go and work as a telecoms engineer, and you have a society to support you there. An electrical engineer, you have a society to support you there. We also have other activities with the IEEE, like the Distinguished Lecturer Series. I know those were curtailed by COVID or went online, but I think they're going to start coming back again, where you'll have an expert in a certain area go around countries giving talks to professionals, also to student bodies. And then we have the conferences. Those are always very popular. On the screen, I've got an example of some of the conferences that IEEE has had this year. So there was Power Africa. I saw some of you there in Rwanda, and all the others, including Africon. And then there's the publications. You're in school, and I know most of your universities have subscribed to the IEEE publications, so you have access to them. So what happens after school? Well, we have 25 open access journals. So even after you finish school, you can still get access to some of the publications of the IEEE. And then, of course, we have standards, coordinating the world's technologies. And so if you're going to keep working in technology, whether in broadband, Bluetooth, power, energy, you're going to come across IEEE standards. Actually, to be honest, you're very lucky to have the IEEE, the whole section that's really active in Kenya. For me, when I was in school, the IEEE was just a line in the book. It was talking about a standard. So this is really impressive. And so another thing that the IEEE offers, and so this is for you to think about, and maybe also for the professionals in the room to think about, is when you're staying current. Sometimes you already have a degree. You have a master's degree. Some of you will even go on to get PhDs. And you will have, let me say, the foundational knowledge in whatever career line you have picked. But what happens is that development in technology is typically incremental. So there'll never usually be, until a certain amount of time, a body large enough to have maybe a whole other degree or something like that. So it's incremental. It comes along slowly, step by step, bit by bit. So what the IEEE realized is that our members, or all other technology professionals around the world, needed to keep up to date and understand what these bite-sized bits of incremental technology were. And so through the continuous education team that I'm part of, we offer 400 course programs on emerging technologies, leadership skills, and any other engaging technical subject. The courses are developed by the experts within the IEEE volunteer audience. They're reviewed by their colleagues and their peers in the industry. And these courses are online, they're self-paced, they're flexible. And they range from 1 hour to 3 hours, so they're not very long. Why are they designed to be this short? Because like I said, it's bite-sized and you already have the foundational knowledge. And then of course, this is nice, there are always discounts for IEEE members and for students, especially for students. And also companies, if they choose, can buy subscriptions for their staff. So just to give you an example, I think if we look under the third box, there's English for technical professionals. That's proven to be very, very popular. And I think there was a discussion about, you're very good at technology, but you're struggling with sometimes communicating. So that's why I guess part of this course is really popular. So I just wanted to have this chance to speak with you, and feel free to ask questions or approach me outside and ask me more about what IEEE is doing in the area of continuing education. One of the fun programs we're running in Africa is we are offering organizations 18 online course programs for their staff at no fee. And this is really more of a research program that we're running. So companies, if you're at an organization that wants to get involved, your company can come and join this program. And the courses are on programs such as digital transformation, blockchain, artificial intelligence. One of the pieces of feedback I get back from people who do the course on artificial intelligence is it busts the myths. I mean, I don't know what the myths were, but when you take this course program, it busts those myths. Basically, the stuff in the movies is not where AI is. They're not going to take over the world anytime soon. Machine learning, and then for electrical engineers, I know Sally is very excited to see the smart grid, smart distribution, power safety standards. And the reason we're giving them free of charge is because the IEEE's core mission is to develop everything around technology and communicate it for the benefit of humanity. And so every so often we have to stop and ask ourselves, are we still providing learning content which is relevant to the engineers? Like, are we putting out courses that no one wants to know about? So what we're doing is we're giving organizations that employ technical teams, engineers, electrical engineers, developers, telecoms engineers, an opportunity to take up these courses at no fee. And then in return, you give us feedback. And we've begun to use this feedback already to develop specific course programs in power and energy. And this is based on the feedback that we're getting. And so this is one of the ways in which IEEE continues to support you even after your formal education as you build your career. So thank you for your time.
Another round of applause for Lucy. Thank you so much. Lucy, I've seen we have, of course, all our sponsors are, represented here. Of course, Maureen from Kennet. Please just wave to the crowd again. Thanks, Maureen. I see you mentoring Africa. Yeah, there you are. Friends. Our engineering regulator is here, EBK, Engineers Board of Kenya. Anyone? No one. Okay, they're coming. And then we also have, of course, all IEEE branches that have supported us for this session. IEK as well, they call themselves the educators, engineering, technology, technical educators. Anyone from IEK so far? No one? Okay, cool. All right, and then of course Safaricom was here in the morning. You guys are still here. Fantastic. Again. All right, and I'm sure I'm missing some other, companies that are probably not sponsored but have been here with us. We, acknowledge your presence. And the reason I'm mentioning each of you by name is because Lucy has 18 course programs that you should sign up for free. So please, I'm hoping, and also the students, right? For companies, right? For companies for free. I need to confirm that. So yeah, so please, I see Maureen's already engaging and negotiating. So that's the way to go. So I'm hoping all of you can get your staff benefit from these programs. I've tried the English for technology professionals. I think because I thought this was something easy for now, right? So it was very nice, and I'm hoping that most of you can also take advantage of that. I don't know what package you have for the students. Maybe they can engage you later, right? So, but yeah, companies, Safcom, Safaricom, IEK, EBK, e-mentoring Africa, the work you're doing is amazing. Please engage Lucy. Let's see what benefit you can get from our course programs. Let me see who else I know from outside. Yeah, I think in the interest of time, Prof, we can basically just start off as we wait for the latecomers to join us. Sanchez.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Adakona. Yes, I'm a lecturer, so as a lecturer, I would like to have an engagement. Yes, you have been told my name is Salesio, and that I got from the secretariat here. I'm not the one who made that. I should do a disclaimer. I would like to talk about innovation and technology transfer for the entrepreneurial universities. I am from the Technical University of Kenya, and our tagline is education and training for the new world, and we are very proud of it. So I thought I should start by drawing your attention. When the other presenters were talking, we were on the phone. So I'd like all of us actually to use our phones for this slide. So, and since there is also Wi-Fi, I've seen the password on the pillars. I'd like you to visit this site. Yeah, so from your phones, you just read bit.ly/topic001. Yeah, so if I see people on the phone, I'm not going to mistake them for doing other bad things. Yeah, these days we allow even in the lecture room. Please, there's a question there. So if I'm not seeing you on the phone, you are not doing the right thing. bit.ly/topic001. Yeah, everyone? Yeah, thank you. Yes. Are you able to reply? Yes, let me get a confirmation. Is the link working? Oh yeah, very good question. What are we doing there? There is a question. What comes to mind when you hear about this presentation? Innovation and technology transfer for entrepreneurial universities. Yeah, so you click reply and you type what comes to mind. Just click reply and type there what comes to mind. Yeah, those who have just joined, if you tap them and tell them the site we are visiting, this link. And I would like to know what comes to mind when you hear of this. Yeah, you can reply as many times as you would like to. We have 60 seconds more. Yeah, thank you. Yes, I can see reskilling, technovation, very good responses. These days when we teach online, sometimes we are also not sure. We are talking to people or nobodies. So now I'm sure we are together. How many of us are students? Yes? So I'm raising my hand because I'm also a student. Very good. So I thought so, and therefore I modified this discussion at 10 minutes, so I will also probably modify even as we proceed. It comes from a training that we have undergone in support of how we can change our mindset in the universities. What is typed there is fine. And we will have this kind of an engagement towards the end as well. Yeah, I refused to be supported, now I need support. Okay. Yeah, it's there. Oh, it's beam projector that is not working. There are three keywords in our title. Formally, innovation is a practical implementation of ideas. So the keyword is it should be practical. It should be one that introduces something new or value. So how can this be linked to the second keyword, technology transfer, which is more to do with commercialization. So people are typing money there, they are in the right direction, or they are saying the right thing. But this, for us in the universities, has to come from research. So from the research, can we show a new thing through innovation or a new way of doing things, and then take it to the marketplace. Now, my focus is on entrepreneurial university, and if you just Google entrepreneurial universities, even our local universities or in Kenya probably are referring to themselves as entrepreneurial, but we have the key main international universities, the top probably 500 in the world that have very clear programs on how entrepreneurial they are. So an entrepreneurial university is one that has the capacity to respond to challenges, and that can only be in our context here through innovation, through recognizing what the challenges or opportunities are there and respond to these in a good way. Why should we have an entrepreneurial university? This page is intentionally left blank. We have around, the last time we checked, I think this is 52 reasons. And I would like to tell you it because there is no other way. The funding that the moderator already mentioned is being reduced, means we have to find new ways of doing things. It's not business as usual. We also have to link ourselves with the industry. We have to engage with the challenges that we face. And therefore, the question of why we should be entrepreneurial universities, all universities should embrace this culture, is because it's the only way and there is no other way in which we are going to survive. So in that case, if as students you think why you come to the university, probably sometimes also in conferences like this, one of the reasons why people come is what you see on the left, and it is to do with they would like knowledge transmitted to them. But an entrepreneurial university is one that is not just focusing on the transmission. An entrepreneurial ecosystem in a university is one that is moving not only to the second generation, which is about now generating. We are not just transmitting, and we don't stop at generating, we also do development based on the research that we do. But for you, it goes beyond that, as I've said, that in the third generation of the university's mission is where we have now integrated an economic aspect, a social development aspect to the research that we are doing. So for us, I would like, now that the majority are students, I would like us to have the imagination that we are actually to be part of that entrepreneurial spirit or entrepreneurial culture that we like to have in the universities. How can you nurture it? How can we nurture it? Look at these bullets and see yourself from a perspective of what I could do. However, as you back to the universities, as you go back to your departments, engage in how we can have provision of spaces for entrepreneurial teams. So that's actually a recommendation from the World Economic Forum. These spaces can take different forms, and you probably see it in the universities, or those of us who are not in the universities when we were a student, or whatever other relationship we have with the students. This can be in terms, for example, of spaces for mentorship, spaces for conferences like this, or symposiums, spaces where mentorship across different people who are into innovation are able to talk to. That will nurture an ecosystem that supports or is founded on entrepreneurial thinking in our universities. The other one is on the university structure. Structures that can support collaboration. Structures could be dedicated offices. Probably I come from the TUK, and in our relationship with the industrial area, we have industry liaison officers and other offices, technology transfer, I had to take what mentioned here, and others. So these are structures formally supporting what is related to the entrepreneurial university, whose context we set in the 3 keywords. Thirdly is trying to shoot for the same stars, and this is where we have collaboration, we have partnerships, guided by having an eye on common values. So we collaborate with Safaricom. It's not because they are only to help us, but it's because even as they assist us in one way, we are also assisting them in another way, even if it's just probably publicity. Simplifying the spin-off, the startup activities. I don't know how many of you have tried to register a patent. I have had 3 students, we have tried to register, and it takes so long. How can we simplify this? The simplification will lead to this nurturing of entrepreneurship. Maybe we look at the bringing to the lecture space. Lecture in quotes, since the learning these days is not just in the lecture hall or during the lecture room, can be in your clubs, can be in your other interactions. But we need to have, or entrepreneurial universities try to challenge the students and the lecturers to grapple with real life problems, community relevant issues that will lead to this entrepreneurial thinking in our universities. I have this question, or sometimes you have this question also in the trainings on this. The key drivers, who should be at the forefront? I'll summarize today by saying it's all of us, and even as students, see yourselves as having a role to play to drive entrepreneurship, entrepreneurial thinking in our institutions. Our partners, this slide probably could tell you why our collaborations fail as we try, for example, to engage the industry to do with expectations. The mitigation to that is creating synergies. There is what we are strong in, there is what we are strong in. We should be guided by value that we are driving. When we don't do that, then we are failures. Others include, for example, the staff turnover or movements, which sometimes hinders a university whose trajectory was very good, and all of a sudden it's not doing well. However, if we collaborate at the professional level, I will remain a computer science person, even if I move from TUK or move from academia. So in that case, that could help deal with these challenges, these risks that are summarized in this slide. What's the outlook for us? I think is the best. All those problems that people would like to innovate around, we have them on a daily basis. So we are allowed, a living lab for innovations, for finding solutions, for dealing with challenges. There is a startup boom, and some startups that we have some relationships with are grappling with how they can deal with how much money they have already acquired. So this presents an opportunity for us to be entrepreneurial. Then there is the appeal for venture capital funding. If I would like to invest at my age now, I would like either a moving concern or what I'm going to sell once it has reached a certain threshold or a certain level in those discussions. That means that appeal is the best time for us to make use of it. Is technology transfer happening in our universities? Yes or no? I hear yes. I expected a very resounding yes. For purposes of not having consent information to disclose, I left it. I'm not showing you what they are. But for example, you have had the new government and the fertilizers subsidies, isn't it? There are universities, I won't mention names, whose loyalties, for every bag of fertilizer that you buy, there is an amount that's going to a university nearby, not very far from here. Same with the seeds, whether it's the maize seeds or the beans seeds, some university in the Valley have developed, commercialized, transferred to the industry. Others relating to do with even fuel consumption. Probably I should stop there. You are going to know which universities I'm talking about. Even in our own field, the engineering, even in computer science, what I would encourage you sometimes as a student is you are not aware of these things, but through engagement, through breaking up the silos, that you are already working in computer science, or in electrical engineering, or in design, or in business, you get to know this and you have an anchor from where you can even innovate further in it. I think as conclusion, we would say yes, entrepreneurial thinking, we need to be constructed. Sometimes for us who are technical, those who are not technical may be too complicated, but we need to be constructed and see innovation is not only when I have a very big system. The innovation of technology transfer is a journey. So yeah, it should not discourage us. We have not yet, but we should appreciate the steps we are making. It's about all of us. Think of how you contribute to your own universities, this movement for resilience. And beyond all success, there is an interest. Please develop an interest in these things. Yeah, develop an interest. If you are dealing with a club and you don't have personal, departmental, or even universal or university level interest, then it's not going anywhere. And that's the same thing that will make us have the kind of installations that we find in Europe in the universities for the industry. As I say, thank you. I'd like to hear from you. And if you go back to the same bit relay and now put topic 002, please, I would like to hear from you. So you can go back online on your phone. I saw most of you kept now looking at me. I'm very shy. I start sweating all over. Yeah, but if you go back there, you can ask those questions. It will also be good for us as we learn from each other. And as you type there, everybody now is going also to see what you are sharing in terms of these questions of what is happening in your institution. Thank you very much. If there are questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Round of applause for Prof. I'll repeat, we are having a very, all headliners for our panel sessions are ladies, and I think for me it's a brilliant mind shift. So congratulations to the organizers of the Congress, and also congratulations to the ladies who've accepted to rise to the occasion and basically have your voices heard. We always like to hear a different perspective. So that being said, I'm going to invite our panelists to join us on stage. I'll call you by name as you walk up front. And I know Beryl Ann is there. Beryl Ann. Okay, cool. So Beryl Ann is a software quality engineer at Safaricom. Santa Sama, please just take your phone. And then we have Charity Supero, joining us from Nairobi Water. Thank you, Sana, for accepting the call. We have Sabrina Barongo, a former colleague, but joining us from from Safaricom as a senior cybersec engineer. Like the energy factor. Okay, nice. And then we have Dr. Kanika Singh. Joining us online. Hi, Doc. Yeah, we're just gonna fix the sound, but thanks for coming through. That is Dr. Kanika Singh. She's joining us from American Bureau of Shipping, where she is the senior project manager. At American Bureau of Shipping. So I'll pass it over to our moderator, the one and only,
Doctor.
the Enigma, Dr. Njeri Ngaruya. We are really happy to have you. Thank you for accepting this panel. I know you have a very good job to do.
Then we have an interesting session where we have all women involved, and I'm so excited. And in this particular session, it's going to be an interesting bit, because we have people in STEM, where we have science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And then we have someone who's here in the part of arts. And it's really interesting. I love that such teams, because now we get to hear the statistics from STEM, and also the statistics that actually bring in the arts. So I will kindly allow my panelists to actually just introduce themselves. So I think we can actually start with Dr. Kanika. Maybe Dr. Kanika, you can be able to introduce yourself and also tell us what you do, and probably even bring in or slide in the bit of the statistics of women in your domain. Dr. Kanika? Okay, maybe I can just start it up with, maybe we can start with Sabrina. Yes, we can start it up.
Hi everyone. My name is Sabrina. I am a cybersecurity engineer at Safaricom. So what I do at Safaricom is basically, protect our products and services from cyber attacks. We already had a session in terms of our cyber defense. So what I do is I do vulnerability assessments, I do penetration testing of all our products before they go to market. And then also I work with external hackers, because also working in cybersecurity, it feels like you're a goalkeeper. So there's things you will see, there's things you will also not see. So I also work with external researchers who report issues on our bug bounty platform, and I also make sure that they get paid. And then also, since the cybersecurity landscape is always changing, what we do is we do something called red team. So red team means even if a product is live and customers are already using it, we'll also go in from an attacker's perspective and get to see if we can find any loopholes. So, and then also leading the data privacy efforts. We already have a Data Privacy Act in Kenya. So the data privacy efforts that we put in place for our customers, that is also part of the work that I do. And then I also work with Burial. We have Safaricom Women in Technology. We already had a session. We had Donna, who's our chair, just take us through some of the pillars that we have. And what Beryl and I do is we lead our campus outreach team. Our campus outreach team is focused on upskilling the students who are currently in campus, because we also realize there's a disconnect between what you're taught in campus and then also what you find out here. And then also because we've been working in this space, we are starting to see a trend where we have in-demand skills that the job market currently needs, and that is what we've been focusing on. So in terms of my cybersecurity domain, we have about 24% of women in the workforce right now, so we still have a long way to go. So it's like we still have 60%, somewhere thereabouts, of men, and we have 24% of women. Yeah.
Okay, 24%. Yeah, cybersecurity. We need to be more. Okay. Before I go to the arts bit, I would like to still hear from Beryl.
Hello, my name is Berina Chepkemoi. I'm a chapter lead quality engineering Safaricom. So what I do is to ensure that all the products before they get to go to market, they conform to the quality, and we do this differently. We have different domains. We have functional testing, we have non-functional testing, and automation. So, and we're trying to ensure that the engineers are able to shift left in terms of their craft. So I won't add more in terms of campus outreach because Sabrina has touched it, but we ensure that the in-demand skills are able to be reachable to all the students. Okay. So in terms of the statistics in my domain, I'll say we are 50-50 because the number of ladies actually in my chapter, so we surpass the number of men, so we can say it's 50-50.
Okay, that's good. That sounds good. So let's go to the arts bit. But she wears a hat that not only on the arts, but she's also going to tell us more about the bit of the engineers. So Chichi.
Thank you, Doctor. Good afternoon, all. I'm Charity Supeo. I work in a Nairobi Water Company as a corporate affairs supervisor. I'm also the current president for the Young Water Professionals Kenya chapter and International Water Association as an emerging water leader, events and communication coordinator. So I'm always in the midst of engineers and techie people all the time, and I always feel, hey, I'm out of place. But I came to realize engineers, especially from where I work, are very, very poor communicators. So I think that is why in my company it's a bit unique because we are, I'd say 70, out of 170% of us are ladies. That's because we're populated different departments, but customer care picks the most. And then in my department, communication, we are actually 90%. Yes, because only 3 of them are gentlemen. And then in the engineering department, which is also very, very interesting, we have quite a good number of them, 50%. And out of the 50%, 30% are young engineers. I was asking Dr. Njeri why she didn't tell me about this earlier, because I would have come with so many young engineers, ladies engineers in Nairobi Water. So I think what has made us have such a high statistic is because we have a very, very supportive management team that looks into tapping on the young ladies in different segments. Like we're looking in different disciplines, not just in customer care, because we are known as Susan. I think she mentioned that in terms of presentation, it's just not for the ladies. But you see, at the end of the day, as an engineer, you'll need someone to decode your language and communicate to the customers, because customers don't understand the technical terms of DN96 pipe. No, they need something to be simplified to them to understand. So who do you need? The communicators, but you're just known to be the ladies. I think that's what has made us unique. It's because we always encourage, we always look at, are we bringing in the ladies? Yes. To this percent. Our technical director, our current technical director, she's Engineer Jambi. She always ensures that in every trip we send people out there, in every training, we have 30% of them represented ladies. And by virtue of being automatic, 70% inakuwa ni wanawake. So I think that's what has really encouraged Nairobi Water to have so many ladies in different disciplines. Yes.
Okay. So question is it a generic model that you can be able to just pass it on to the field of STEM? Maybe. That's how we're going to actually rescue our women. So the next question I actually want to bring forward to is, especially the ones in STEM, Safaricom. So do you think as ladies, when it comes to STEM, are we on the wrong side of digital skills? Are we on the wrong side?
I'll say no. I'll say no because I see it in terms of internet penetration. If we check even on in terms of the statistics, yes, we all have the platform, we all have the we all have accessibility of the internet. currently, and we can like both genders, and also have access of laptops. So the reason I'm saying no, as I approach it as a digital divide, meaning that the number of students or the number of people who have access to internet and a computer, and the number of guys who don't have this. So where I sit, I presume what as ladies we need to focus on is now to ensure that we're able to be motivated on the correct area, because these platforms are they're very everywhere. We're able to get around of, let's say, mentors, and even teaching our ladies how to raise their hand, and knowing what to say, when to say, and who to say to. So it's just a matter of ensuring that we are able to cultivate the correct the correct path. Yes, but in terms of we're not on the wrong, we just need to cultivate it correctly.
Okay. Maybe that is the Kenyan context. Can we just hear from Dr. Kanika? Dr. Kanika, are we having the same statistics? You've had the statistics.
Yeah. Yes. I just add some points here.
Dr. Kanika, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Yes, you can just go on.
I hope you can see my. Yeah. So basically, I'm living in South Korea, and I have been working in ABS. So basically, and I've been working actually for a long time. I think that is echo.
Dr. Kanika, would you kindly mute one of the devices? Kindly mute one of the devices. We're having an echo.
Can you hear me? Yeah, so just I think today's main focus is on having gender balance in place, and we recognize that even activity is working in this direction. And that's why I just pull out the statistics of our nanotechnology council, where clearly the women members at a senior level or the fellow member are very low, and we need to enhance this. And focus today is on digital, and I think digital technology after the COVID has recognized that we have many opportunities to sit back at home and enhance our skills. So I think digital transformation is making a new era, but still many companies are struggling to reskill their talent, and this talent to be enhanced by having a diverse. So the focus lies in the sustainability goals. We are actually working on the UN values so that nobody is left behind, and we embrace its uniqueness. And that's what we try to achieve by having a diversity forum in our activity council.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Kanika, for that. We can actually see even in IEEE, the numbers are not doing good. I don't know where Esther is. and see those numbers that have been projected by Dr. Kanika, we are not doing very well as women in. Maybe for the senior members, I could see the numbers are close to the male, but so far, we still need to actually work on that. Maybe Sabrina, would you be able to just tell us, are we on the wrong? Are you negating it just the way Eric has done that?
Yeah, so I'd like to look at it from this perspective. I don't think we're on the wrong side. So I was reading a report by Anita B. Anita B is an organization that is supported by Google, and what they try to do is try to increase the STEM uptake of women. And from their report, the numbers are actually growing. So clearly, someone somewhere is doing something right. I mean, we moved from 24% to somewhere around 27%. So obviously, it's really low, because that means there's like 70% and we are 27%, somewhere thereabout. So how I'd like to look at it is, we're not really on the wrong side, but I think there's a gap that we have that needs to be addressed. I think we need to ask ourselves, why is it that we have very low numbers in terms of our STEM uptake? Is it because we see STEM as a difficult path to take? I mean, that's one way you can look at it. Is it because we see, STEM is difficult? And then also, like Benjamin said, I know we also have, people who are very disadvantaged, even in terms of either internet penetration, what they need to do to get into the space. They may not have the internet, they may not have, the computers, things like that. And then also, in our space, who do we have as role models that we can look up to? Do we have women in leadership? I know successful companies, companies become very successful when they focus also on matters, diversity and inclusion. So having women be the ones who are at the very top making the decisions also helps. But we are really not seeing those numbers. So I'd like to look at it from that perspective. We have role models, yes, but it is not at the number that we'd like it to be. We want to see people who look like us, so that we can get inspired and feel like, one day I'll also get there, and I'll also be able to sit in those spaces to make decisions. And then, are we also taking initiative? Because we already have 27% of women, right? And then we also have people, you're already there, you already have internet, you already have bundles, but are you really taking initiative? Because, sometimes I also feel as women, we might sit down and, feel like we deserve to get those opportunities because, there's someone needs to maybe fill a diversity or tick a box somewhere. Why are we not taking those opportunities? So sometimes also we as women, we are not taking initiative.
Okay, thank you very much, Sabrina, for that. So, are we able to learn from the outside? As engineers, as people in tech, are we able to learn from the outside? And maybe that's the reason why Charity is here with us. Maybe we can actually get to actually learn from that side. So maybe Charity, what have you guys done that for you to actually have a 90% women representation in your company?
I think accommodation is key. Accommodate different disciplines. Come to think of it, actually, Doc. I think in my company we have less techie ladies and more of engineers. And I'll just speak not just in the Ruby Water, but even globally, because I'm privileged enough to attend a lot of water conferences. And I've realized actually we have a lot of engineers, ladies, and not techie ladies. So I think that is probably from where I see it. There's a gap in the tech. So what is it that the engineers are doing that the techs are not doing, then they can employ from there? Because I think even in IT, we have a very low representation of ladies, come to think of it. Yeah, so the biggest challenge, and especially when you have an engineer CEO or an engineer MD, a male for that matter, it's very hard to convince them to do things that are out of what they are used to, from their comfort. Why do you need to use money for marketing? I mean, you're a monopoly company, but you need to use money to get money. needs to, you have to use a lot of money to get money. So they're not, some of them are rich, they're not accommodative to different disciplines. And you see with different disciplines, it comes also with ladies as well. So I think it's just a matter of accommodation. Accommodate, because you can't work alone. I earlier said you need someone to decode your language. You need someone to bring this event together and tell you, if you put these two colors together, it's going to be dull. If you write this too much text on a flyer, it's going to be a bit boring. Do more of, images and less of text. And so if you accommodate people, I think you're going to move further, and that's how you're going to bring more ladies into this field. And probably, maybe it's because of how the, what is it called? You don't do a lot of exhibitions, or just these simple exhibitions about tech or engineering, you see? Like, I know in communication and in PR, we do a lot of open days when it comes to students in schools. Do you do a lot of that as well? I think that's where the gap is. Encourage students from high school that it's also as fun, and you're going to gain a lot also in this field. So you do a lot of sensitization as mentors as well. I think that's how it's going to be.
Okay, and this goes to Phoebe. Phoebe, you do that. Question is, do we need to change how we do it? Because you're talking about Phoebe. Phoebe in Safaricom, they start from as early as 6 years? Yes. Yeah. So question is, why is that not translating to the same number or a higher number for women in stuff? Maybe that's something you can actually demand about, and maybe get to have the arts side. Maybe we can actually borrow from that. So then, at least now from the STEM side, do you think that we need to reskill? Do we need to reskill these ladies? We've agreed that we're not on the wrong side. Do we need to reskill?
Yes, we do. And I believe all of us, we have to learn, relearn, skill, reskill, and how is the most important thing. So where I see it from a campus leadership point of view, I feel we started doing the correct items. Like I know Safaricom, we've launched the Safaricom engineering community. So mainly targeting this particular student, that engineering student or that computer science student, being able to tell them that as much as you program in Java, as much as you do the normal courses, I think right now it's always Java, C++, C#. Apart from that, you can be able to apply this skill in different in-demand skills. Naisenya earlier on mentioned about UI UX. One of the I think it's one of the cream de la cream of the IT skills that we are currently searching for. So if we are able to encourage all students and even try to pull that lady somewhere in the corner, tell her you're able to join a tech community. And I love the fact that the big giants have joined our spaces and they have communities too. So it's not only in Safaricom engineering community, there's AWS community, there's Google community. So you as a student, you can be able, right now you're spoiled for choice in terms of getting these skills. So it's the drive, and if you have that drive, you'll be able to reskill. And for sure, it's always a forever learning situation. Learning can never stop. Yeah.
Thank you, Berry. Ladies, it's the drive. It's the drive, it's the drive, it's the drive. Let's hear from Berry. Oh, Sabrina, sorry.
Yeah, so yes, like Beryl said, we need to upskill, but also let's not forget, sometimes we feel like as techies or as engineers, you're a techie, you're really good at what you do, you can really do good design, you can program whatever something really nice. But what are you doing about your soft skills? Can you be the one who comes up here and speaks to people? Like how are you selling yourself? Are you someone who can be able to stand in front of people and talk and share knowledge? There's something we always say in our space. Your network is your network, something like that. And I know also there's a lot of people that I know who got their jobs just by being in communities and by being visible and being the ones who are raising up their hands, being the ones who are asking the questions, being the ones who are inquisitive. So let's not forget about our soft skills, about our communication skills. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. At least now we've had Wema, Africa. We really need you guys on board. We need the soft skills on board as we so that we can be able to propel further. So just 1 minute. We just need the four of them to just give us a punchline. What's your punchline, Barry?
Forever learning.
Cute. Charity?
Lance, forever learning. Mine would be, first of all, engineers, I really envy you. You have a lot of opportunities more than any other discipline I can think of. There's so many opportunities for you out there, schooling and working, the spaces. Please grab them, spend your time on the internet searching for these opportunities. There are so many. I wish I was an engineer myself. I would have gained a lot. So anyway, my punchline is for the ladies, interrupt the interrupters. Tunapenda sana kuinterruptiwa. Interrupt them. And if you notice someone is too shy to interrupt, mshikilie mkono by interrupting that interrupter for them. Okay? And generally what I would say is, don't wait to be invited to the boardroom. Invite yourself and fill that gap, because I believe everyone is doing something unique. We could be all engineers, but I'm bringing a different aspect of engineering in a boardroom. Thank you. Thank you. Ladies in the house, hi. Hi. Yeah, so this is my message to you. Take initiative. There is someone out there who would want to be who would want the opportunity you have right now. There's someone who would, want that opportunity. You have the space, you have the internet, you have the laptops. The thing we take also is in engineering as well. You have a lot of resources out there. You have all of these communities literally knocking on your door. We want to help you. Why don't you take up that initiative and fight for yourself? Yeah. And then the other thing I would say, we also know there's people who are disadvantaged, and it's, I think, one of the things that we are also trying to do even in our women in technology. For example, at campus outreach, we realize someone is probably a student who maybe cannot afford bundles, and as part of our session, we'll make sure that we provide that for you. So even the organizations that are here, how can we work together and have partnerships and make sure that for the guys or for the women who are disadvantaged, that we are able to support them and make sure that we bring them into the tech space. And also again to the women, helping another woman will not dim your light. So if you are in the workplace and you've already gotten to the place where you wanted to be, and you see someone come behind you and that person is struggling, why don't you hold their hand? Obviously, and also if you're the one being held, you must also be willing to learn and to be mentored. You have to be consistent, don't be shaky. Until someone else says, oh, I'm even wasting my time helping this person. So let's help one another. If you're the one being helped, show initiative. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Kanika, your punchline?
Yes. I just explained my punchline. So it says, just because you are woman, do not anyone rob your imagination or curiosity or creativity, and literacy is a key, and ability to use technology to navigate, evaluate, and create information. So, in the world today, we have to sharpen our skills and to excel in this world. So, I believe young women engineers or young women are working on this direction and not being suppressed or being disheartened with some, gender imbalance. And we need to stand up our creativity and sharpen our skills all the time.
Thank you very much, Veronica, for that. I think how I'm going to actually end this is that we are not saying that we want to be better than men. No, we are saying that can you men be able to really hold our hands and let's walk together through this journey. So thank you very much, and we really appreciate this.
I think in case, in the event that maybe the beach is not ready, I'd like us to jump to the next session, just to buy you time. So I want to believe Dr. Hendrich is here. Fantastic. So I want us to then jump into the next session, which is how to apply novel ideas to a conventional research domain properly. I think this is also another interesting mind shift. Innovation is not the problem. Perhaps the problem is actually how to apply our innovations or our unconventional thoughts correctly in the industry that we are participating in. So then, to speak on that is going to be Dr. Heinrich Laue. Okay. Have some German influence. I would think this is Laue. But yeah, cool name. So Dr. Heinrich is going to then guide us through that. Again, I keep repeating this because there's something at the end of the day for all of us. Retweet, post, share, comment, keep the conversation going on online. We need to have these voices heard. We need to have all these transformative ideas that are being talked about here mentioned online, and I mean the conversation needs to not die just within the confines of Panari. So our Twitter handles are open. The hashtag is hashtag IEEE KSYP 2022, and then hashtag Twende Panari. Tufike Panari. What have you guys been tweeting? Tuko site Panari. Another hashtag. I think we have 3 hashtags. Karibu Kenya. Really? I doubt that. Karibu Kenya. KSYP Congress 2022. Okay, so we have 4 hashtags, yeah? So hashtag Karibu Kenya, hashtag Tuko site Panari, hashtag IEEE KSYP 2022, and hashtag KSYP Congress 2022. Sort of hashtags. Anyways, just hashtag them and keep us going on them. All right, and then also another special mention is Kibinje. I hope after this you'll be good to go because we'll then have 1 session and then jump for lunch. So yeah, Doctor, if you're ready, go to this. Fantastic.
Good afternoon. It's good to speak to you again. Today's topic is going to be slightly more technical, and we're looking basically at how new ideas are generated when performing research. So, of course, when you are doing research, at the heart of research is making new discoveries and finding new ideas. So we're talking about from old to new, how to properly apply novel ideas to a conventional research domain. We're going to be looking at the case of compressive antenna arrays. So how are new ideas generated? It's well accepted within the so-called theories of creativity or the study of how innovation works, that innovation happens when existing ideas are combined in new ways. And in his paper Recombinant Growth, economist Martin Weissman states that innovation is less like fishing in a pond or exploring for oil, and more like the cultivation of new botanical varieties from existing ones. So when we talk about the cross-pollination of ideas, that's actually a perfect analogy. It's existing ideas coming together to breed new ideas. However, Weizmann found that with the vast amounts of knowledge available today, the challenge lies not primarily in finding new ways to combine ideas, but rather identifying which of those combinations are actually useful. Henry Poincaré said, to create consists precisely not in making useless combinations and in making those which are useful and which are only a small minority. Invention is discernment, choice. Among chosen combinations, the most fertile will often be those formed from elements drawn from domains which are far apart. The true work of the inventor consists in choosing among these combinations so as to eliminate the useless ones, or rather avoid the trouble of making them, and the rules which must guide this choice are extremely fine and delicate. So in order to generate innovative ideas, we need to identify not only new combinations of ideas, but those that are actually useful. But what makes an idea useful, and what principles can we adopt to maximize our chances of finding these useful combinations when conducting academic research. Boyke talks about these rules being extremely fine and delicate, so there's clearly a balance that has to be obtained. And it turns out that novelty or newness in itself is not enough to guarantee impactful ideas. Novelty needs to be carefully balanced with conventionality. The new must be balanced with the old. If you only have new ideas, you will not make an impact. But similarly, if you only have old ideas, you will also not make an impact. So your new ideas need to be carefully balanced with old ones. In 2013, a sociologist, an economist, and 2 data scientists, Uzi et al., came together to ask the question, how must conventionality and novelty be balanced with one another in order to generate high-impact papers, that is, journal papers that tend to be highly cited? And they found that high-impact papers are not only conventional, but highly conventional, with only a dash of completely unexpected novelty. In other words, the papers that tend to be highly cited are those that are firmly rooted in the old conventionality with a dash of something completely new. So how did they determine this? Well, they looked at the references in a paper, and then they looked at the pairwise combinations of the references in those paper. And so they would ask the question, how often do these 2 specific references appear together in papers? If they appear together often, that would be considered a conventional pairing. If not, then it would be considered a novel pairing. For example, you might find papers from the transactions on antennas and propagation and the transactions on microwave theory and techniques often being cited together because those fields are closely related. And so that's considered a conventional pairing. However, antennas propagation and life sciences, for example, would not be expected to be found together often, so that would be a novel pairing. In other words, if a paper cites 2 sources that you would not expect to see find next to each other, that suggests that perhaps a novel idea is being formed. On the other hand, citing sources that you do expect to find next to each other suggests that you're not necessarily busy generating new ideas, but you are sticking with old accepted ideas. And so the highest impact papers had overwhelmingly conventional combinations of sources, and yet a few highly unconventional or highly unexpected combinations. And such papers had almost twice the probability of being a high impact or a highly cited paper. And so it's therefore clear that research impact is not either a function of novelty or conventionality, but a careful balance of both, namely a lot of conventionality and a little bit of extreme unconventionality. And so balancing this in practice is actually quite difficult. How do you get inspiration from other domains while still remaining rooted and grounded in your own? And Uzi mentioned some challenges. Firstly, exploring foreign domains is difficult, especially if you are a specialist, simply because it's unknown. And secondly, he explains that communicating foreign concepts to a conventional audience is also difficult. And so often you have to present your new ideas in conventional terms. And they give the example of Isaac Newton, who presented his theory of gravity in terms of well-established geometry, and not his newly derived calculus that actually helped to inspire a lot of his insights into gravity. And I'd also like to add a third point, and that is that it's not only a challenge to explore foreign concepts and communicate them to a conventional audience, but it is also a challenge to contextualize foreign ideas so that your contribution is actually useful by conventional standards. If you can't compare your new idea to an old one in order to show that it's better, then you'll end up comparing apples to oranges and not really making any useful combination at all. So you have to be well rooted in your domain so that you can reach into the other domain and then translate that idea so that it makes sense in your own context. And so in this talk, or this workshop, I'll be discussing a practical approach to introducing new ideas to a well-established conventional domain, hopefully leading to high-impact research. And I'll be using my own research on compressive antenna arrays as an example, where I applied the signal processing concept to antenna arrays. And then finally, I'll also be considering some more practical applications and show how being both a specialist and a generalist can benefit your career. So here's my approach for going from old to new. Firstly, as we said, you have to be well-grounded in your domain. But secondly, you have to look further for inspiration. Now, how do you look further for inspiration? I believe the best way to do this is to develop a general curiosity. In practical terms, this could simply mean reading more widely. not necessarily just journal articles, but even if you read high quality journalism, you'll often find inspiration there. And I personally found the Pocket app very useful for such reading and also the recommendations that come with it. Also, do not restrict yourself to friends from within your own specialization, but have a wide range of friends and connections from different specialities, and it might become something interesting. For example, I have a friend in sound engineering, and we've had some fascinating conversations about the overlap between sound engineering and electronic engineering that have given me some new insights into my own field. Thirdly, when you find an idea in a foreign domain that you want to apply in your own domain, you must first study its context and its assumptions and make sure that you have a working knowledge of that domain. Now, the level to which you will have to master that foreign domain will differ, but you have to have a deep enough knowledge in order to identify some assumptions that might not hold in your own domain. Then fourthly, you need to translate that idea to your domain and recognize that there might be differences in terminology. And perhaps that idea has actually already been tried in your domain, but under a different name. Then you need to contextualize the idea. It's highly unlikely that your new idea that you have is entirely new. There must be something similar to that you can compare to. And in fact, you will need to find something to compare to. Also, you need to identify the different performance measures in your domain, because it might also differ from the foreign domain. And also priorities can differ. So when you have studied the foreign idea with its context and its assumptions, you've translated it to your domain, you've contextualized it and found the closest thing in your domain, and you've established the difference in performance measures, then only can you apply a new idea to a conventional domain. And chances are that this amazing idea that you had will actually be less life-changing than you initially thought, and it will be more incremental, but that's not a bad thing, because that incremental contribution will be a real contribution. And then once you've made your first contribution, the ball will start rolling and more contributions will follow. Then lastly, you need to be open to a change in direction. The real insight and the real contribution might actually be something completely different to what you had expected. And it might turn out that your idea from the other domain was nothing than a fresh perspective to give you new insight. So number one, be well grounded in your domain. Be curious and look further for inspiration. Study the foreign ideas, context and assumptions. Translate and contextualize idea to make sure that you're not comparing apples to oranges. And lastly, be open to a change in direction. So as a case study, I'd like to take you briefly through my journey from compressive sensing, which is a signal processing concept, to compressive antenna arrays. So let's start with a brief overview of my conventional domain, namely antenna arrays. So let's start here with a point source oscillating at a particular frequency. So this represents an antenna transmitting at a particular frequency. And you can see the waves propagating outwards from the source. Now when we place four of these sources next to each other, we see that the waves add up constructively, the forward direction, but destructively towards the sides. But you'll see to the left and right of the main beam in the middle that we have still some propagation of waves at a lower amplitude, and we call these side lobes. Now when you change the strength or the amplitude of the two outermost sources, like we see here, then you will find that you can actually control the side lobes and suppress them. So if you compare closely between these two, you will see that the main lobe in front has increased in width and is also slightly lower in amplitude. So these are the trade-offs for controlling the side lobes. And we do this by changing the amplitudes of the sources. And this we call amplitude weighting or windowing. So instead of amplitude weighting, we can also apply different phase shifts to the sources. If we do this, you can see that basically, it seems like the sources are being triggered from right to left. And so there's a phase difference between the sources, and the result is that the waves still add up constructively, but now 30 degrees towards the left. And again, you can see the side lobes next to the main lobe clearly. Again, now when we add amplitude weighting on top of that, you can see that the side lobes are now suppressed. And again, the main beam is slightly wider. So this is only with phase weighting, and this is a phased antenna array with amplitude and phase weighting. So that's my conventional domain antenna array. So the important principle to remember is basically the side lobes, and that there's some form of weighting happening, some form of amplitude control. Now let's move to the foreign domain where I got my inspiration from, and that is from the idea of compressive sensing, which comes from signal processing. Now, hopefully most of you have heard of the Nyquist theorem for sampling. And so compressive sensing is a sub-Nyquist sampling scheme where you have less samples than the Nyquist theorem dictates. And so this is done by a so-called sensing matrix, which you can see here. At the top you have your conventional Nyquist samples, but at the bottom you only have two outputs or compressed samples. And so each of the two outputs at the bottom gets sum of the conventional samples at the top, each multiplied by a different weight. So in this way, each compressed sample at the bottom is a different weighted combination, or indeed a scrambled version of the conventional samples, and therefore you ensure that all of the conventional samples are at least represented to some degree, and that no information is lost in the process. And so here you can see the process being represented mathematically. The two outputs at the bottom, y, are functions of the conventional samples, x at the top, multiplied by the sensing matrix, which in this case contains 8 different weights. So a little bit of basic linear algebra here. The first output there, y1, is the first sample x1 multiplied by the weight phi11, plus the second sample multiplied by the weight phi12, and so on. But how are these weights? So this is the sensing matrix. Now the question is, how are the weights chosen for scrambling and compressing these samples? So we're reducing the number of samples, we're scrambling them, but how are these weights chosen for the scrambling process? And usually from a random Gaussian distribution, so that each compressed sample gets a different and a unique combination. And this generally works because random numbers are statistically unlikely to be similar to one another. And so compressive sensing has two parts. The one is the sampling process, where you scramble and reduce the number of samples. And then the second one is the reconstruction algorithm, where you recover the original signal back from these limited number of samples. So a lot of applications exist in terms of the reconstruction algorithms, but I was looking at the compressive sampling process itself applied to antenna arrays. And so, in other words, it's the suggestion that it might be a good idea to scramble, combine, and reduce the number of signals in antenna arrays. And so in 2009, Wang et al. Published a conference paper where they proposed exactly this, to apply compressive sampling to antenna arrays for direction finding applications. And so they aim to use a large number of antennas and then reduce the number of signals by using a random sensing matrix. And so this idea was really just copied and pasted from compressive sensing without really contextualizing it in terms of the techniques within antenna arrays. And so I asked myself, wasn't there anything similar to this? Because they presented this idea as if it was something completely new, something unheard of. And they even suggested a special kind of sensing matrix which mostly contained zeros, and that basically didn't scramble or combine antenna elements at all, but rather just took a conventional array and then selected some of the elements to switch off at random. And they presented this as if it was something new, but later I realized that this is actually what's called a thinned array, and it's been around for decades. But they presented it as if it was something brand new, by not contextualizing the problem properly. And so I personally spent the next 4 years translating this seemingly simple idea of compressive sensing and just the compressive sampling process to antenna arrays. And I had to go back. Before I could apply this new idea to antenna arrays, I first had to understand what existing techniques there were in antenna arrays. And it turns out that the problem of reducing samples in antennas has actually been studied for decades. And in particular in antenna arrays, the idea is to reduce the number of radios required for a given number of antenna elements. So if you can think of antenna elements, they're generally quite cheap compared to a radio. Sometimes an antenna is little more than a wire, but a radio is quite expensive. And so the first of these, what I like to call reduced control arrays, is called a thinned array, where certain antennas are basically switched on and off. Then you also get sparse arrays, which are similar to thinned arrays, but the elements are not on an underlying grid, and so you can also optimize the positions of the antennas. Then you also get what we call subarrays. Now in this case, you have a contiguous subarray configuration, where the first two antenna elements combine on the left, and the last three on the right. Then you get a partially overlapped subarray system, where some of the elements are shared between these so-called subarrays. And then you also get what we call completely overlapped subarrays, where each subarray is a function, in fact a weighted function of all the antenna elements. Now, does this look familiar? is actually the same architecture or the same layout that was recommended by Wang as compressive sensing applied to antenna arrays. And so what they proposed was actually a type of completely overlapped subarray system, a technique that's already been around for a long time. And so it took me a long time to reach this point, but now that I had properly contextualized the idea and realized that it was, in fact, a type of completely overlapped subarray system, I could now finally start translating this idea from signal processing to antenna arrays. And so firstly, I had to look at some differences in terminology. In signal processing and linear algebra, you get the concept of a basis vector, that you might know of. But in antenna arrays, I had to actually realize that a basis vector is actually what we call in antenna arrays a steering vector. In signal processing, you find the concept of coherence. That's one concept. But that actually translates to a concept called side lobe level that we mentioned in antenna arrays. In compressive sensing, we talk about a sensing matrix, but as we see in antenna arrays, when we combine antenna elements, we actually call this a feed network. For example, a completely overlapped feed network, as we have seen. In compressive sensing, we talk about compressed samples, but antenna arrays, that's actually a subarray. Secondly, I had to look at the differences in assumptions, and I actually had to go quite deep into the derivation of compressive sensing to realize that the use of random weights in the sensing matrix is actually only optimal as the size of the problem approaches infinity. And this is where there's a huge difference between signal processing and antenna arrays, because in signal processing, a 1 megapixel image with 1 million samples, that's not a particularly large image. But in antenna arrays, you can even have an antenna array as small as only 2 elements. And the largest antenna array in the world has about 45,000 elements. So you can clearly see there's a difference here between the field of signal processing and the field of antenna arrays. And in antenna arrays, we can't rely on theories that rely on the assumption that the number of samples tends towards a large number. And so I had to realize this difference between signal processing and antenna arrays, and realize that those random weights that they proposed would actually not be suitable. So in order to make a real contribution in the field of antenna arrays, I had to evaluate my new ideas in terms of conventional requirements. So the question that I remained with was, after all of this studying, was there really anything new to this idea of compressive sensing applied to antenna arrays? And it turned out that the inspiration that actually proved to be the most useful was actually a very simple one. And this was to forget about the hardware constraints and just to see what performance in conventional terms, such as side lobe level and beam width, what we saw earlier, was possible with a sensing matrix that was not subjected to any hardware constraints, for example, a random or any other sensing matrix. Because you see, up until that point, in antenna arrays, completely overlapped systems were designed with very specific hardware constraints in mind. So you would start with the hardware and start with the hardware architecture and then ask what is possible with that hardware architecture. And then and we said, what if we turn it around and say, okay, let's forget about the hardware constraints, because a random sensing matrix doesn't have any constraints. It's random, so it can take on any value. So let's allow an arbitrary sensing matrix and then just see what we can get. And then we can consider the implementation afterwards. And so this is the complete opposite thought process to what an antenna engineer would normally follow. Since you would normally start with the hardware and then see what was possible within those constraints. Whereas I said, let's forget about the hardware for now, and let's just see what's possible in theory. And so even though I ended up applying very little from this new field of compressive sensing directly, what I needed was that inspiration from an outside source to disrupt the conventional way of thinking. The second inspiration came from the field, so that was the first one, remove hardware constraints. The second inspiration was to use existing codebook optimization algorithms. So that also comes from compressive sensing. And I was only able to do this, to go into this field of codebook optimization, because I had realized that two concepts with different names, namely coherence and cyber level, are actually equivalent. So I found the same concept, but with different names and slightly different properties in two different domains. And when I realized that they were actually the same thing with a different name, then I could go and take from the other domain and apply those algorithms to my own domain. And the third inspiration came from antenna arrays itself. I managed to modify an existing feed network in order to implement these arbitrary feed networks. And so this is the key inspiration that I had. And this was, again, an old idea that I modified and applied in a new way. And so the three inspirations came from compressive sensing in signal processing, from codebook optimization also in signal processing, and thirdly, from antenna arrays. So here you can see an example of what I call the checkered network. And the prototype you already saw yesterday. That's a more complex design. And that's the prototype that you can see there that I manufactured. And so with this prototype, I managed to show that this is actually something that you can implement in practice. So we started with inspiration from another domain. We said, let's forget about hardware constraints. Let's just see what's possible. But then at the end of the day, we did actually end up with something that is feasible to implement in practice. And so we deviated quite far from signal processing and from compressive sensing, but by using it as a way to give us a fresh perspective, injecting this simple idea of removing the hardware constraints, that led to big innovations. But I had to get the balance right. I had to have tons of conventionality. I really had to understand antenna arrays properly. And most of my time was actually spent there in antenna arrays, and not in the field of compressive sensing. And I also had to give up a lot of my original research goals that were very lofty and centered around compressive sensing. However, this simple idea that just disrupted the conventional way of thinking led to this discovery of a new type of system that can hopefully be used in many different applications. And now I don't really care about the compressive sensing that much anymore, but I'm rather interested to see what I can do from this new design. So finally, I'd like to make some practical applications regarding this balance between the old and the new when it comes to your career. And the question is, should you be a specialist or should you be a generalist? Now, Uzi's research that we saw at the start actually heads towards the fact that it's not an either or, but it's a careful balance of both. Uzi notes, it is an advantage to be located in the mainstream while being distinctive in one's creativity. Now, some of the most influential people in history have had multiple interests. And these so-called jack of all trades have been around forever, and they've had various different names across history. Author Michael Simmons gives us a very insightful overview of this concept of polymathy. First, we had the philosopher king, such as Aristotle. Then we had the Renaissance man, like Leonardo da Vinci. Next, we had the so-called gentleman scholars, such as Benjamin Franklin. Then we had modern polymaths, such as Isaac Newton, and thereafter modern polymaths, such as Steve Jobs. Now, in terms of modern polymaths, I think this was already mentioned yesterday. Think of some of the founders of the world's largest companies. Simmons notes that Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, Warren Buffett, Larry Page, and Jeff Bezos have all been described as polymaths. You saw these names yesterday in terms of the richest men. And so one particular view of modern polymathy is to view it as being T-shaped. In other words, you specialize deeply in one domain, yet you have a working knowledge across a broad range of disciplines. And so if you've heard about the Pareto principle, that helps here. The Pareto principle is a rule of thumb, which states that 80% of something's output is typically only a result of 20% of the input or the effort. For example, it'll take you a lifetime to master a specific topic. But if you just spend a week on that topic, you will actually have a better working knowledge of that topic than most people. So you get a huge benefit at the start, and then towards the end you have to expend a large amount of effort to get an incremental benefit. And so we can see how this T-shaped polymathy fits within Uzi's conclusions. Deep specialization in one field, the conventional domain, with just a little bit of inspiration from a completely unrelated domain, and have some working knowledge of the foreign domain that you're getting inspiration from. So my challenge to you is to cultivate a general curiosity and to realize that everything has the potential to be interesting. If you find yourself in a place of deep specialization and you're frustrated perhaps with the lack of diversity, then don't despair. Being a specialist does not mean that you cannot also be a generalist. Keep specializing, but also keep exploring elsewhere. Read widely, have interesting and obscure hobbies, and make diverse friends. And as Uzi mentioned, having a broad range of interests, even as a specialist, might lead to your greatest breakthroughs. So if you found some of what I said very interesting about antenna arrays, perhaps I could just mention quickly about the Antennas and Propagation Society. And you're welcome to also come visit me there at the booth outside if you want to learn more about the Antennas and Propagation Society. So the field of interest of the Antennas and Propagation Society includes antennas, as you've seen, including their analysis, design, development, measurement, and testing, radiation and propagation, how fields travel through the air, the interaction of electromagnetic waves with discrete and continuous media, and then all sorts of applications for antennas and propagation, including wireless, mobile, satellite, and telecommunications. And so the IEEE Young Professionals, as you probably know, is a group within the IEEE of members and volunteers who have graduated from their first professional degree within the last 15 years. And so this typically includes graduate students, postdoctoral fellows, those in academia, and those in industry. So as soon as you graduate, then you will be considered a young professional and not a student anymore. So what are some of the benefits for membership in terms of the Antennas and Propagation Society? As a young professional, you get access to the journals. So now you have access probably through your library if you're a student, but once you graduate, then you can still have access to the Antennas and Propagation Society's journals if you are a member. You have access to research grants if you're doing postgrad. There are various awards, travel grants to conferences. There's information about that at the booth as well, and also in the pamphlet you received. And then student design contests. So if you want to know more about the society, you're welcome to follow us on LinkedIn or to chat with me afterwards. Thank you very much.
For the planning. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All the way from Namibia, and inviting us to think unconventional. Thank you so much. This is the stuff of legend, as they say. All right. So I know you're hungry, and lunch is just around the corner. Kibinji, this is your wake-up call. I want you to come and do the quick presentation on engaging with industry. What is IEEE doing around engaging with industry, and how can you be part of that way, both as a young professional, a student, or even the industry participants themselves? So without further ado, I think you have 10 minutes in the time that we have. So do the best you can. All right. Sante sana, let's give him a hand as he goes.
I wish I didn't stand here again. But when you see me, don't see me. See John Matoko, right? Yes. So this presentation is supposed to be done by John Matoko. So assume, put a face, and then assume the rest. So that at least we don't get bored by this voice and this guy here. Yeah, I had to make that so that it kind of becomes good, especially for Kamau who is here. You may not realize, but I've been here many times and made a lot of stuff. So yeah, but for him it will make sense. So this is John Matoko, is currently the corporate social responsibility leader for IEEE, not IEEE, Middle East and Africa at IBM. So maybe among other things, just a thing to mention about John Matoko is why are we still working with him? Is our chair at the Action for Industry Committee, but more than that, we've worked with him closely. Him being my manager at the time I was at IBM as an intern. So to students, maybe this, I'll pass it back to you so that we can look at it differently. So when you ever get a chance to get to a company and work with someone, especially who is your manager, look at them differently. I remember someone was talking about how she was forced to learn to wear heels. Yeah, and that way you become close buddies, because when you live, it's a different thing, transforming from colleague to now a volunteer and even a closer buddies where you can share about family stuff among other things. So that is why I'm representing him, but more than that, we are the two black guys in that picture. That also speaks volume of mentorship, among other things that we'll be talking about. Why we are big in the industry, Action for Industry, we are big on that. What exactly do we look in, especially when we are engaging industry? We look into a couple of themes. And these themes, they can be summarized by what industry is actually looking when they are engaging with IEEE. Number one is internships. You know, all these students here, when they see Kamau, the first question is, can I get an internship into your place? That is the first, I don't know how many times you've been asked that, but I know. That is the first question you get, especially from a graduate or anybody who sees you as a potential employer. The second thing is mentorship. And you will see the kind of mentorship we do in IEEE. It's different. We do mentorship which is very personalized and very direct to the people that we target. Entrepreneurship, innovation, industry events like this one, and also Lumumba here is our lead industry ambassador, and he took from Lavender. And you will be seeing how we also recognize industries in terms of awards and also getting them closer and closer to the kind of stuff that we do. Without going back, these are the pillars and these are our leads. So these are the leads in the regional levels. So you may not really see them here, but if you keep on around IEEE, you are more likely to engage with them. I know some of us have interacted with maybe someone like Maria Lavender in Region 8 and someone like Tony in Region 8, among others. This is the success story so far. If you look here keenly, you can start to get a feel of where we are coming from. I'll talk about a couple like Schneider. Schneider, local Schneider here, their CEO and I guess the co-founder was at one point the IEEE chair of the Kenya section. The current, I don't know whether it's the current or the past CS of education, who is big on technical stuff, CEO of Centurion, was actually among the founding members of the Kenya section. So, as far as we tend to think as if IEEE is more in academia, as a matter of fact, it started in the industry, and that's why we are so big. I think Prof here has been pushing that sense. It started in the industry and it needs to go back to the industry. Other than that, we have also a partnership with so much startups, innovation hubs, among others. I don't want to talk about these benefits. I think the presentation I did in the morning kind of speaks volume about this, because those are just words, but if you look closer with the why, the how, the who, the what, among others, you can actually get a deeper sense of that. Industry events, I don't want to talk much about this, but I think for those ones who have participated into the Africa IoT and AI Challenge, powered by Strathmore, partnership with Gearbox, among others, they know what has been happening in that space. In terms of entrepreneurship, what happened here yesterday is a replica. It's now in the pipeline. So those ones who qualified, they are now in the pipeline to going up until the final IEEE pitch, which is supposed to be done in 2023. And through that, what we are doing here, it was not grinding to the students. That was not grinding. What we are doing here, it's actually a mentorship. So, but again, when you're doing mentorship, you need to be sober and actually give a sane mentorship. That's why we could critique things in a manner that they will they will make the next pitch better. How has this been done? In August, those ones who were in Tunisia, this was the final pitch. And trust you me, for you to get to that level, you will get more grinding and thorough grinding than what you assume you saw here. The team that won, we had 5 final pitches out of in a pool of I don't know hundreds of how many. So after the 3 teams goes from here to the next level, there is another I think 27 or 30, let's say 30, who will also present their team, their top 3. So those top 3 will be pillared together, will be put together, coupled, and then they will be put in a pool. And then that pool, 5 teams will come out of that pool, and then those are the ones who will go to finals. And then finals happens like that. So other than those events, these are some of the brands which have come out of that these events. I think all of us, if you are very keen in the industry sector, especially the entrepreneurship IEEE, you might have seen my clinic, especially from Nigeria. Someone here was talking about HASA, Chris. So those are the guys who have actually done something, but they are doing it differently. So you can look around that, among others that are highlighted there. We speak big about workforce. We had a panel here, and IEEE is also big on that. And this one, I don't know where Lucy is. Lucy will be talking again on this, focusing more on how exactly do professionals learn. You know, a professional doesn't need a class of like a whole day. They are busy people. They need something which is very specific to their area and which is very compressed so that they can get that magic into real life and then they keep going. And these courses are actually tailored to that. Yesterday we said it's a hype, but again someone else said it's a hype, but we need to keep up with the pace even if we are behind. So those are actually meant for industry, and I hope I will not dilute the information that Lucy is supposed to handle with that. About mentorship program, I think I've talked much about that, and CSR program. So I had to highlight CSR because John is actually the CSR lead in EMEA in IBM. And in here, we have Kenneth, we have Safaricom, we have Huawei, among others companies. And I know for sure Huawei has an arm of CSR. Now, how do we engage with Huawei based on CSR perspective? In a CSR perspective, when you come to IEEE, we look into things like IEEE Humanitarian Activity Committee. Under that committee, we can go closer and zoom it here, which is a special interest group on humanitarian technology. So what Kamau does, how can we use that technology to develop solutions that actually fit society, not for charity, but actually to solve problems in a more impactful and outcome way. A very case example here is Child knows about what she has been doing in that space. Apart from them doing whatever they do, they come in and bring mentorship in terms of other projects that are happening. We have had companies like Illumina who came in here in form of CSR, where students are supposed to be treated by 40,000, not treated, they are supposed to be trained with 40,000 course in 3 days. They gave that with 5,000, not as a pay, but actually as an appreciation of those students coming into their company, learning, getting that certification and the experience. That company giving us that offer, it was not on a corporate basis. It's not a business. We are actually doing a CSR activity with them. And that's our final remarks from John Matogo. I hope now the message is home, and I hope not to see me again in this stage. Thank you very much.
DJ, we'll see you again. But that being said, thank you so much. Thank you so much for highlighting the work we do with industries, the work we do with everyone in terms of trying to build a corporate social responsibility narrative for all our engagements. Right, so the time has come for us to break for lunch. I know everyone has been waiting for this moment. And we are going to definitely go for that. But before we go there, I want to highlight 2 things. What's going to happen in the afternoon, and then also our aspect of social media engagement. So please, I've seen on Twitter, I mean, I see a lot of activity there, but you guys are supporting each other in terms of retweeting. everyone's just trying to get their own spotlight. So, I mean, be nice. So, for instance, I've seen Perez Daphne, Sophia M, Tony Ngugi. I can see your tweets, but I don't see you retweeting other people's tweets. So please, go on and be nice. Be nice, retweet. Let's keep, because we're here as a Congress, not, you're not meeting your own self somewhere else. Nonetheless, thank you so much. Let's keep that conversation going on. Hashtag KSYP 2022, hashtag KSYPKE, hashtag Tukosite Panari, and hashtag what again? Karibu Kenya? Yes, all of those are our hashtags. So please go on and engage using those platforms. Also, tag our sponsors. We have at Kenneth, Maureen confirmed from doing the right stuff. That should be at Kenneth, your handle.
At Kenneth_K.
At Kenneth_KE. You know, you may just appear on her mentions and then she might give you an award later. I'm not speaking for you, Maureen. And then we have at IEEEPS, at EMBS, if I'm not wrong. I mean, just find all of these, you know, organizations, tag them on your posts. It's gonna increase your visibility. That's out of the way. Number two, in the afternoon we'll be having the very first action will be a special session on energy, medicine, and climate action. You know, we have COP27 going on in Egypt, so we can have our own mini COP27.1 here, which will be handling what we can do around energy, medicine, and climate action. And then thereafter we'll have another panel on actually a keynote on engineering challenges for the future. Everyone should be interested in this. And then we'll do another panel section on empowering young professionals as the engine for the next tech revolution, and then a career talk. And then we'll have a tea break and then dinner in the words. So I'm sure everyone is excited for this. I'm happy to see you after lunch, but also during the lunch, let's network, engage, get business cards, get opportunities, ask questions you perhaps wanted to ask during the session that you didn't ask, and let's have a very, very engaging conference. Aman again, my friends. So that being said, I invite all of us for lunch.